Yeah,
man.
they should have just had him like keel over, like mid almost stab of Lori. And when the doctor's like running the autopsy, been like, yeah, stage 5 cancer. He had cancer this whole time. How crazy is that? It just finally got to him.
My name is Nate.
My name is Mike.
And what the hell was that?
What the hell was that?
Okay. Mike has a limited time frame tonight, so we're gonna try to blast through
gonna
this.
Throw me under the Michael Myers bus like
I
that,
sure
huh?
am, or the Michael Myers tow truck and fence. This movie was pretty disappointing. I think it was the general consensus between the two of us, right?
Yeah. Not good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I enjoyed
Not
it more
good.
than Mike did. But that being said, I still did. Well, I don't want to say I didn't enjoy it because it's fun. It's fun. Slashers are fun. That's the bottom line of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was a great movie. I think.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I absolutely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, like the parts I enjoyed, I wish there were more of, because it was like 45 minutes of not enjoyment. Well, of whatever, just boredom. Not even boredom, just like boilerplate film stuff, which I mean is fine. But then like the last like 20 minutes of the film got kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about this a lot because Mike and I went and saw this last night, and then I am a Peacock subscriber, so I actually like watched it again last night.
Right.
Although I didn't watch like the whole thing. I kind of just like was tuning in and out while I was doing other stuff.
Right.
But you know, it's not to say that like I had a terrible time watching this movie because that's far from the truth. It's fun. Michael Myers is fun, even in like the worst circumstances. Michael Myers is a fun character to watch in a movie.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of Michael Myers in this movie.
That's true, but there's like Michael Myers Succession and stuff, and we'll get all into it. But yeah, I don't think this was a great film. I don't think you're going to have like a terrible time watching it, though. There's my conclusion.
Yeah,
anyway.
no, I don't think so. It's just like if you walk away like thinking about the film and God forbid thinking of ways you could have improved the film, then you're just going to get mad at the film.
Yeah, that's what Mike and I did last night. I think that was our mistake.
Yeah. Like, we walked away just like, man, what would I have done if I wanted that film to be more enjoyable or cohesive or better? And then the more you talk about it, the more you realize, like, oh, wait, no, this film really dropped the ball and in many ways is very disappointing and has no reason to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say before we go into the plot and stuff, like I said, I like half watched this movie again.
Right.
After we watched it.
Sure.
And, you know, I feel like you might assume that because of that, I'm going to be, like, way more on it with the plot.
I hope.
But, like, I almost feel more hazy, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair.
I actually, like, right before you got here, Mike, I did something that I don't normally do when we do these. I read the Wikipedia summary.
Sure.
And I more or less did that, honestly, because as I'm sure it'll become apparent as we're recapping this plot, there were some things that were really confusing about this movie. Like, it was just way more complicated than it needed to be.
Yeah.
So I guess I wanted to try to get some clarification, perhaps, and I didn't really get any. The only thing I did get clarification for was the character who, like, is Corey's, like, father figure.
Right.
He is not his dad.
Right, that makes sense. He didn't look like his dad.
Well, yeah. Well, also, it's just because I remember, like, while we were watching the movie, you kind of were like, "Oh no, not his dad," or something like that.
Right.
I remember thinking, like, I don't think he's his dad. I like assumed he was like a stepfather or something, just because of like the role and the fact that he like Corey was like calling him by his first name and everything.
Right.
But according to Wikipedia, it's his uncle.
Sure. There you go.
Which I don't know.
So his uncle lives with his sister, or is it his aunt that's raising him?
No, I'm pretty sure it's his mom still, based on the Wikipedia
his uncle
article.
lives with his mom?
I guess so.
And raise him together?
Yeah.
Is that an Illinois thing?
Maybe.
Is that something that happens in Illinois?
Yeah, maybe. Also, it's just the type of thing where I don't know if whoever wrote this Wikipedia summary was also guessing, because I don't know that it was like said like, oh, hey, Uncle Ronald or my stepfather Ronald. It was just a dude who was there. So maybe that's this person trying to figure out what the relationship is.
Sure.
Are you ready to try to get into this?
Yeah.
So, I think it's Halloween night of 2019. There's a 21-year-old man named Corey, and he is riding his bike to a very big mansion-like home where he then goes in on this Halloween night, and the people who own this house are a couple who are asking Corey, the young man, to babysit their kid while they go to like a Halloween party for like the husband's boss or something.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, we're just going to be right down the road. Our normal babysitter or something is sick. So like, thank you so much for like watching over him. Just get him in bed by X o'clock, and don't do this, blah, 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 blah. Oh, by the way, he's also terrified of Michael Myers given the whole situation. Good luck. We'll be back in like an hour or two.
Right.
And then they leave.
I just don't know who goes out for like an hour or two and hires a babysitter. Like, who does
maybe
that?
it was more than an hour, but all the same, it was a pretty short.
No, yeah, because they come. Yeah, it's pretty. I don't know.
They at least had enough time to watch some of John Carpenter's The Thing.
That's true. We got treated to our first jump scare of the film, and really the kind of only jump scare of the film. Not really, but like, there wasn't a lot of jump scares in this film,
which I kind of appreciate, though.
So did I.
Yeah.
This one was okay. The one after it was lame.
What happened? I don't really remember.
She's like calling the kid, and she's like, whatever the kid's name is, Jonathan, maybe. Jeremy, and she like looks up the stairwell, and we get like a lingering like stairwell shot, and then the kid comes out from underneath the stairs in like a wolf mask and startles her. And so there's your jump scare. There's your startle test for the film.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Oh God, I love you, son, so much. Oh God, I would just be so terribly dismayed if anything ever happened to you."
Yeah.
All right, goodbye.
There you go.
So they leave, and then it is some amount of time later. Corey and Jeremy are watching The Thing.
Right. Corey's watching it, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, like you're a kid, and he knows that the mom told him that Jeremy gets scared super easily these days on account of the Michael Myers thing that happened last year in the film." And so they're watching The Thing, and then like one of the Thing scenes happens, and Corey's kind of like, "Wow, that's actually pretty graphic.
Maybe we shouldn't watch this given the information I was given."
Yeah, and he's like, if you're like getting scared or whatever, like we can do something else. And the kid
Let's go play hide and seek.
The kid's very sassy, and it's like, I'm not scared, you're scared.
This conversation ramps up exponentially. Cause it's like, I'm not scared. You're scared. Also, you're ugly, and I hate you.
Right, yes,
I want to watch this movie, you dumb idiot.
Yeah, pretty much exactly. Because he's like, oh, no, you're scared that like Michael Myers or whatever is going to come get you. And the kid's like, I'm not scared of Michael Myers. He doesn't kill kids. He kills babysitters, so he'd like kill you. And that seems to kind of like make Corey take pause for a moment. And Corey's just kind of like, all right, no TV. Fuck you then.
Time for bed.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so like he's like, I'm gonna
go get some chocolate milk. Because he goes into the kitchen, and then you see him like cut a piece of cake or something, and there's like a knife there. And then he like goes into the fridge where there's like a beer, and he's like eyeing it, but then he grabs the chocolate milk instead.
Yep.
And then he starts hearing like noises that you might expect Michael Myers to make when he's sneaking through a house to prowl and kill somebody.
Yeah.
And so he starts to get spooked.
Right.
And so he also no longer hears Jeremy.
Right.
And so he is getting quite nervous about this, and he's like, Jeremy, where are you, buddy? Like looking all over, even looking outside, no luck. Comes back in to continue looking for Jeremy, and he notices that the knife that he used to cut the cake or whatever it was is gone.
Right.
So now he's...
Does he notice that?
Maybe not. The audience at the very least notices.
Yeah, we notice it because they zoom in real close up on it.
Yeah. Anyway, the knife is gone, whether he knows it or not. And he's like, Jeremy, where are you? Jeremy. And then you hear Jeremy from upstairs like screaming. You're like, help me, Corey, help me. Oh, my God.
Right.
And so then Corey starts walking up the steps where I believe he finds the knife on the steps and picks it up to defend himself.
Right.
And so then he follows the screams to what he believes to be their source, which is like a kind of creepy looking attic space.
Sure.
And so he goes in, and it's nice and dark and spooky, and he's trying to find Michael Myers and or Jeremy, and then he hears the door slam behind him. He then hears the door slam behind him,
Right.
and he turns around, and he is now locked in this room.
Right.
And he hears Jeremy on the other side of it, basically saying like, "Haha, you're dumb and scared,
dumb loser,
dumb
scared
loser."
loser.
And
Which
then
at
he
least is
more or
like
less does like
1/3
Fortnite
true.
dances on the other side. You can imagine.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. I mean, which I guess is more or less 1/3 true because
Yeah.
Corey is absolutely scared for some reason. Like he's kind of freaking out in this space. We don't really know why.
Yeah.
Like he actually is getting pretty ramped up, and it's not just like an anger kind of thing. Like it's like he's actually kind of
He seems almost like claustrophobic.
Yeah,
with, like,
exactly,
I don't know.
exactly.
Like maybe
Yeah.
if I don't know how they could have organically brought that up, but maybe
Yeah.
if there was some basis for that,
Yeah.
would make a little bit more sense and
Wow.
not seem out of left field. But whatever. I guess also claustrophobia is not a ridiculous thing for somebody to feel. So anyway.
Sure.
Anyway, he's freaking out a little bit, and he's like starting to lose his cool,
Right.
and he's like trying his best to like bust the door open, kicking it and everything. And it goes from like, "All right, Jeremy, you got me, let me out," to like, "Oh my God, let me out! I'm gonna kill you, you little prick!"
Right.
And so
And now we start seeing the parents are like pulling back into the driveway at this time, and like they're gonna start making their entrance into the home soon.
So they open the door, the front door to their house, and step in. Pretty much at this very same moment, Corey is on the latter half of his tirade where he says, "I'm going to kill you, you
Right.
little prick." And then he kicks the door open, and
Like
the door...
300 style.
Yes,
a
like
straight
300
boot.
style.
Like
yeah.
straight boot to the door, yeah.
And that does it, and the door flies open and hits Jeremy in the face. And this sufficiently knocks him off balance.
Trigger warning. This is going to be pretty brutal what goes down here.
And then he falls off of the banister. And again, I don't think that we've driven this home enough. This is a very wealthy looking house that has several floors, and we can gather that they are on the topmost of these floors,
third
of
or
at least
fourth.
like third or fourth.
Yeah.
And so Jeremy falls off this banister and basically just crumples into a pile of little boy.
Jesus Christ. That's the way you want to say that? Holy fuck.
So Jeremy is now dead, and you see Corey like looking over the banister to see what happened, knife in hand.
Right.
His parents are like, "Oh my God, our boy!" And then the mother specifically looks up and is like, "What did you do?"
Yes, right.
And and then next thing you know, we see the police on the scene, and they're putting Corey in the back of the police car,
Right.
and he's just like, "It was an accident."
Right.
And then Laurie Strode is just on looking.
Oh, right. I forgot she's
across
there.
the street.
Yeah, she's just chilling.
Yeah, she's just watching what's going on.
She just does Halloween watch, I guess.
Yeah. So she does that, and then we get like a slight montage, I guess is the best way you could call it, where the older police officer who we saw in the last movie, who at the very beginning of the last movie was like bleeding out and was saved, and then was like chatting with Laurie at the end of the movie, whose name was Frank Hawkins, I believe. He is at like he's at that scene, and then we see a little montage of him at various other scenes that are happening throughout Haddonfield of brutality and murder and possibly suicide by the one look, which I don't know how that fit.
Could be. Yeah, I don't know.
All the same, they're like, "The town is going to hell ever since Michael Myers came back."
Yeah, Laurie's doing a little voiceover here.
But and it's kind of made it explicitly clear that despite the town going to hell since Michael Myers came back, it is not because Michael Myers is like himself getting out there and causing havoc, but more so that his presence has disturbed the town enough that it's kind of bringing out the worst in people in a sense.
Yes.
Do you remember what happens next?
Pumpkins montage. As the credits
yeah,
roll.
credits,
Like,
So you see Laurie working on her memoir. "I survived Michael Myers, and I went and I bought a house, and I've decided to become a part of society again and not be paranoid all the time, because while there's evil out there, you choose to let it in or kill yourself, maybe."
Right. Well, she's like, God, and I hate this so much, but she's like, Michael Myers, we choose whether or not we want to let him in. Backspace, backspace, backspace. Let it in.
That's
Backspace,
relevant if you
backspace,
heard
backspace,
the
backspace.
Halloween original podcast.
Yeah, right. Well, because like she's like, let him in, backspace, let it in, and then the director caught a lot of fear that wasn't quite heavy-handed enough, so she backspaces more and goes, let evil in. And so there you go.
But yeah, so she's working on her memoir, and I think then she just hears like a fire alarm going off. And she's like, shit! And she's like, Allison, are you okay? And then she like runs downstairs to see that Allison's like, what the hell's going on? Allison is her granddaughter, if you do not remember or haven't seen the other movies. And her parents are dead via the last 2 movies. And so now it's the 2 of them in this house, and it seems that Laurie was baking a pie, but then got so wrapped up in her memoir that she forgot about said pie, and the pie is now burning.
Yep.
So she gets it and is like, shit, this was supposed to be for that party you're supposed to go to later. You can still go and have fun. And then Allison's like, I'm not going to the party because I don't have a costume or I don't have friends to go with or something.
Probably both.
Take your pick. But I have to go to work, and I'm late. Bye, Grandma. And then she goes to work.
Yep.
Or starts heading to work.
Animal hospital?
I think it's just a regular hospital.
Yeah.
Real. Oh, okay. I guess
wow.
Mike doesn't think that vets are real doctors.
Yeah, that's it. You heard it here first, folks.
This might not be the sequential order of how things happen, but I don't think that it really makes much of a difference. So I'm gonna say this anyway. So on her way to work, she gets pulled over by a police officer.
Oh yeah.
And so she pulls over, and the police officer comes up to the window, and he's like, "You're under arrest for being the prettiest girl I know." and her delivery is exactly this, like, okay, Doug. And then Doug's like, I'm just kidding. I pulled you over because I missed you. No, actually, I'm kidding about that too. Your muffler is going to like fall off. You should probably get that looked at before you have bigger problems. That's all I was talking to you about. Also, remember when we used to date? That was pretty neat. You should give me a call sometime. And she's like, okay, Doug, I'll do that. Bye. And then she goes to work.
Yeah. And then I feel like we get something about like the mouth of the South or whatever.
Mouth of the South?
Or the chest of the West. I don't know.
What are you talking
about? The fucking radio fella.
Oh. Chest of the West. It's like Willie the Kid or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, yeah. So you're right. I do believe that essentially we hear a radio DJ dude just basically giving a spiel about Michael Myers and Haddonfield and such. I believe then we see Corey, and this is several years later.
Sure.
And he is now working at a mechanic shop that is like in a salvage yard that his uncle seems to run.
Right.
It was mentioned before the whole accidental killing happened, how he was like, oh yeah, I'm applying to college to do engineering and stuff. So I think we can kind of assume by him, working in the scrapyard, that the accident has thoroughly shook his life and his plans.
Yeah, his uncle like rips the blanket off of a motorcycle and it's like, it's a motorcycle. And Corey's like, does it run? And he's like, it does, poorly, but yes. And here you go. You can have a motorcycle now. And Corey's like, thank you, Uncle Dad. I've been wanting a motorcycle for so long, baby.
Maybe.
He's never mentioned it. I don't fucking know. Maybe it's his dream. Maybe it's not. He rides a regular old bike.
Yeah.
But,
when he leaves, he's not riding on the motorcycle. He's riding on his old bicycle. And so on his way home or wherever it is that he's going, he decides to stop at the convenience store and get some chocolate milk.
He has a sudden craving for chocolate milk, yeah.
And he gets some Yoo-Hoo and like.
It's not called Yoo-Hoo.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it called?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant like the actual product in the real world is not called that. And I was like,
what? No, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But he doesn't buy Yoo-Hoo.
He buys a fake Yoo-Hoo,
like General Milk or some shit.
Well, the poison the poison is in the milk. No, so the reason that I specifically said that it's
where did poison come from?
that I don't know why I said poison. I don't know what that was supposed to be. The reason that I specifically say Yoo-Hoo is because this chocolate milk is in a glass container, very similar to what you might see in a Yoo-Hoo, which is
it looks
relevant.
Exactly like Yoo-Hoo would look.
And while he's in there buying this not Yoo-Hoo, we also get further indication that the town is a little bit well, I don't even want to say split because it seems like mostly negative against him, where they're like, hey, we all really believe that you killed that kid, you bastard, because the lady's like, are you going to buy something? And he's like, oh, sorry. So anyway, he buys his stuff and he leaves. He then is in the parking lot getting ready to walk to his bike. And then we see the absolute coolest subculture in high school, the band kids, pull up in a convertible.
And not even like kids in a band, but like marching band. You know, like marching band.
Yeah. And
like they got the uniforms on. Like they're just missing the weird hat that's like really tall with the feather and stuff.
Oh man.
But they got like the uniforms on. Well, one of them does. Anyway.
Okay, yeah, actually let's talk about that for a second. Because like what an interesting choice. I don't know if like these people are, or if the people who wrote this movie were like, let's give some representation to the band kids.
Sure.
Because like, you know, I was in high school like half a decade ago, and also I see the memes of the general idea of what band kids are like nowadays.
Yeah.
It's not that. You know, like you picture band kids to be the ones like T-posing and like
yeah, man, yes, exactly. Yes. Doing like gnome dances in the hallway or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean like it's true.
So yeah, I don't know why they were like band kids. That makes sense.
I
But
don't know.
you know, whatever. These band kids are cut above the rest. Is the point?
Sure, I guess.
Yeah, so they pull up in this convertible and they get out. I guess one of the kids is, like has like a fake ID, and so the like leader of this group is like, "Hey man, like give me your ID so we can go get some beers." And he's like, "Oh, I remember I got it taken away from me last time." Right. He's like, oh, shit, how are we going to get our beers? So then, you know, he finds the first 21 and up looking person that he can find, that being Corey. And so he's like, hey, sir, do you mind doing me and my friends a favor? You see, we have been practicing all year for the big football game.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Oh, are you playing in it? Yes.
In a sense.
Yes, right. Oh, God.
And so he's like, yeah, we've really been working hard all year, and we want nothing more than to just take a load off and have a couple brewskis, you know, buddy. So what do you say? How about we give you a couple bucks and you get us a couple 6-packs? And Corey, he's like, nope, not going to do that.
Right.
And so he more or less like tries to walk away. And this kid is just not letting it go. And he's like, what? Come on, man. Like, it's not a big deal. It's just beers. And then, I don't think it's the leader, but one of the kids just goes straight to like, oh, you're the one who killed that fucking kid, aren't you?
Right.
And to which all of them then are like, oh, yeah, this is the guy who killed that kid back then.
Right.
And then immediately start like poking him and prodding him about that. Yeah. And also jump to like, you're a pedophile.
Yeah.
Which seems pretty unfounded.
Seems
but,
like a
you know,
thing to
rumors get spread, I guess.
I just think teenagers just have, like, loose association with their insults.
That's fair. But, yeah, all the same, they are hurling insults that Corey does not very much appreciate.
Yeah.
And he is showing so by seemingly getting upset and clenching his fist that is holding the Yoo-hoo bottle, and it explodes because it's a glass bottle.
Yeah.
And so all the kids are like, oh, what the hell? And then the leader of this group then pushes Corey.
Uh-huh.
And when he falls, he, I guess, puts his hand into some of the glass from the Yoo-hoo and slices his hand up pretty good.
Right.
And, you know, the kids are continuing to, like, kick at him and make fun of him. Lori happens to be at this convenience store gas station filling up her car. And so she sees this, and she's like, hey, cut it out.
Right.
And the kids are like, what? Oh, we're just, you know, having a good time with our buddy. And the one kid, like, kicks his foot then.
And they're like, hey, wait a minute. You're the lady who survived that murder and assault before. Loser.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's the loser and the loser.
Yes, right.
And then more or less do Fortnite dances. And
That's right, yes.
And so then they go inside of the convenience store.
This movie would be improved so much more.
Yeah, like I just imagine them doing like the L on the forehead.
Exactly. Yeah. If they made these kids do Fortnite dances as they were doing this shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, anyway, these kids retreat into the convenience store, to which then Laurie pulls out a knife and is like, are you going to do it or am I going to do it?
Yeah, right.
And then he seems just about as confused as probably you are. And then she's like, they're tires. We're going to go slash their tires. So yeah, they go ahead and they pop one of the tires with the
Knife.
Knife, yes. I don't know.
In the parking lot.
In the car.
Professor Lori.
Yeah. So then they load up his bicycle into the back of the pickup truck, and she's like, "Let me go take you to get your hand taken care of.
Yes.
You got cut up pretty bad."
Yeah.
So she takes him to the hospital where her granddaughter works.
Yep.
And so here we see the granddaughter chatting with one of her coworkers, and this coworker seems very ditzy and out there, I guess. I don't know how else to
Yes,
describe
but
her.
primarily, she's hot.
Okay, yeah.
Well, for the purposes of the film.
Okay, Mike. I hope that didn't come up. I really wish that didn't come up, so you were just like, yeah, it's just like
but most
smoking hot.
important, just like, oh my god, hello, nurse. Now, you could take my pulse.
Laurie comes
I'll let
up.
you find my insertion point. Anyway. What's up?
That was a good one. So anyway, Laurie comes up with this kid who's got a slashed up hand, and she's like, he needs medical attention. Also, isn't he cute?
Yes.
And so then we then see him with the doctor getting his
Real
hand
quick,
stitched
I'm
up.
sorry. I just want to bring up like one of the main problems I have with this film, and this is like they frame Corey and like his hand is hurt, and he's like in the chair, and he doesn't look like he's had like the best day ever. But for like all intents and purposes, he might as well be wearing like the most ragged clothes ever, like pale as the sun, sunken cheeks and hard lines on his face, gnashing his teeth and like mumbling to himself, because that's kind of like the framing they put him in. So like we get that establishing framing of Corey in the fucking like hospital lobby, and it goes back to Laurie's granddaughter, who's like, oh, he's cute. It's kind of like, I'm sorry. Like, what about this appearance are you looking at? Like, ooh, I'm interested in this fella.
Yeah. And so anyway, so he's like getting his hand looked at by the doctor, and it's like the writers really want you to know that these two are attracted to each other in some manner, because then Allison, the granddaughter of Laurie, comes in and is like doing
some really weird and illicit gestures towards him, just very sexual stuff. It's all very strange.
She's just like doing her nursely duties, and then the doctor is like, she's cute, isn't she?
Yeah,
It's just like,
yeah, right.
Then the doctor is like, all right, I'm gonna like work on your hand for a second. This might pinch, and so he does the thing, and what's his name? Corey like jumps at whatever the doctor does, and
Whatever
like,
the
knocks
penis.
the thing over,
Yeah.
and the doctor. I think very unprofessionally is like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and Allison, Laurie's granddaughter, is kind of like, oh, that's my fault. Oh, I'm sorry. And the
Also,
doctor's kind
no,
of,
I don't see how it's your fault in any capacity.
Yeah, and the doctor's like, you're damn right it is. All right, get this fixed up. Like, I'm leaving
I'm
this
getting out of
room.
here.
Oh,
I don't care if his hand gets infected.
Just like, fix him.
Yeah, and so then Corey's like, you shouldn't let him talk to you like that.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly like that, too.
Yeah, and she's like, wow.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and so then they flirt, I guess, and he's like, wow, this job sucks, huh? She's like, yep, it sure does. What happened to your hand? And he's like, oh, I heard it at work.
Skateboarding.
And she's like, oh, at work? Your job sucks too? What do you do?
Right.
Oh, I'm a mechanic.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's crazy because my car is making a rattling noise. Oh, well, it's probably this thing.
Yeah.
You should come by the shop sometime and I'll fix it up for you. By the way, I drive a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. You should teach me how. Okay.
Yep.
That's the conversation,
Yeah, it's
as
pretty
it were.
Yep.
The two of them are together, and she's like, we should hang out sometime. And he's like, I'd like to. Oh, wait, no, we shouldn't do that. I'm a terrible, dumb, idiot person. And she's like, I don't think so. And he's like, wow, gee.
Yeah.
I got to go now. My ma is weird. And then he goes.
Yeah. So I gotta go wash my hair. Anyway,
Allison pulls up to his place of work, and she's like, hey, I'm here to get my stuff fixed.
Right.
And then off screen, presumably he fixes her stuff. And then he's like showing her how to ride the motorcycle, I guess, in a very flirtatious manner.
It doesn't feel very flirtatious.
I don't know. It
Like
is
right hand
what
is
it
brake,
is.
left hand clutch. Yep, left foot. Yep, that's gonna be your kickstart. Yep, right foot.
And she's
Is that
just
flirtatious
like,
to you,
wow.
Nate? Is that flirtatious?
I guess you just don't understand romance, Mike. But anyway, so he's like showing her how to ride the bike and everything, and then we see the convertible car of the boy whose tire he slashed get like towed in, and the boy and presumably his father are there, and we overhear the father being like, yeah, I need to get this fixed because my stupid boy can't fix a stupid tire. Stupid! And then smacks him upside the head.
Right.
And yeah. So that's that.
Which seems to imply that neither can the father.
That's true.
Because he's like, you can't fix a flat. And the son's like, teach me, Pa. And he's like, I can't. We got to take it to the scrapyard.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is just like, this idiot can't change a tire. Hey, Ronnie, you mind changing my tire? You know, I don't know how. Then I guess we see Allison at home, and she's hanging out with her grandmother, Laurie, and Lindsay, who is all grown up now. And they're all having a good time, and Allison's like, Grandma, you brought that boy who I think was cute there because you knew I'd think he was cute. And then Laurie's like, I'll admit to no such thing.
Right.
And then she's like, oh, but you should invite him to that Halloween party. She's like, oh, you know what? I think I will.
Yeah.
So then we see at home, Corey is sitting at the dinner table with his mother and his uncle dad.
Right.
And he's texting under the table to Allison. And it's pretty much like, but I don't have a costume. But that sounds neat. Boy, oh boy. And then his mom's like, who are you texting at the table?
Yeah, she's like, I smell women on you.
Yeah, exactly. So she's like, I smell women on you. What are you doing? He's like, it's nothing, Ma. And then cut to later, I guess.
Sure.
Where
I'm down
it's
for
like,
later.
Yeah, and more or less they're like, all right, time to go to the party. The two of us are going to the party now. And so they go to the party. I don't know that it's necessarily a party. It's just like a thing at a bar. Corey, he seems pretty like timid and shy and everything, but through hanging out with Allison and having a good time, they seem to be having a good time with each other. And he's coming out of his shell. And he's like, you know what? Maybe things aren't so bad for little old me. And so while they're dancing, he like slips away and decides to get a beer at the bar. And while he's getting said beer, he happens to look over and see the mother of the boy he accidentally killed.
Yep.
And she wastes no time to be like, oh, you're just having a good time with your friends? My boy is dead.
That's right, yeah.
And I blame you.
Yeah, that's right.
And so he, as you might imagine, is pretty uncomfortable with this. And this lady's like more or less like following him and being like, you're pure evil! While like Lindsay's trying to like pull this lady back. But anyway, Corey is pretty perturbed by this and sneaks out of the bar. And Allison, I guess, sees this and then follows him out of the bar. And she's like, Corey, wait! And he's just like trucking along, trying to be by himself, I guess. But she is able to stop him. And she's like, what happened? He's like, you weren't there for me. You don't understand. You're a terrible person.
Yeah.
More
or less.
Yeah, and if you're confused, boy, so were we. And she more or less is like, no, I understand what it's like for people to like see you and have all these preconceived notions. And he's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You survived somebody trying to kill you. I accidentally killed somebody.
That's right.
And I'm quite surprised they didn't use this line verbatim, but this is essentially the idea that's being driven, where it's like, you escaped a monster, but I am a monster. Yeah, exactly that. To which then he like storms away, and she's like, oh no, Corey.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, so then
They've known each other for like 24, 48 hours, something like that.
Yeah, the timeline is not very clear, but not a long amount of time regardless. Corey is wandering home, and he finds himself on like a bridge overpass type dealio, and we see the kid or I guess the kids from earlier in the convertible. They pull up right beside him, and they park and get out. And the lead boy, who we saw get whacked upside the head by his papa, is like, "Hey, I've been looking for you." And he like puts his hand out, and he's like, "Put her there, buddy. Let's let bygones be bygones." And Corey is like just kind of like staring at him and clearly does not want to engage in any way and just tries to walk past him. But the kid trips him and he falls, and then the other kid steps on his glasses, and it's a pretty rough predicament here.
Yeah.
They're like, "We're going to beat the shit out of you," or something to that effect. And then Corey pulls out a knife, presumably the same knife that Laurie
slashed her tires with, yeah.
So he pulls out the knife and is like, "Stay back, I'm warning you. Stay the fuck away from me." And they're like, "Oh, you're going to kill us like you killed that kid?" And he's kind of losing his temper here. He's like, "You don't know what you're talking about, man."
Yeah.
But the one drummer kid who's not the lead dude of this posse smacks the knife away with ease. So
with
Corey,
the drumsticks.
With the drumstick, yeah. So Corey is now defenseless. He goes to his only other defense, which is mental attacks on the other kid, where he's like, "Your father hates you, I saw." And then the kid, this clearly pushes the kid's buttons, because he's like, "I'll show you whose father hates who." And then he pushes him off of the overpass.
Yeah. He's like, "He fell. He fell." And one of the kids is like, "I don't think he fell." And he's like, "He fell." And it's like, okay,
and if that's not your story, you might fall too.
Yes, right, yes.
So Corey has now fallen off of the overpass, and he looks pretty worse for wear. Then he gets dragged by a mysterious figure into the sewer.
Yeah.
Where after some time he wakes up, and he's like, "Boy, how did I get in the sewer?" And so he starts wandering around this sewer, and on his way out, a hand grabs him by the throat. And then he looks into the cold, dead eyes of Michael Myers, who has been hanging out in these
the
sewers.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Michael Myers, rather than strangling this man or doing anything else that Michael Myers tends to do with his victims, he just gives him the death stare. And it seems like, I don't know what happens, really.
He puts him down, dusts off his shoulders a little bit. He's like, "Sorry, champ."
Essentially, that is really what happens. He's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. See you later." And he's
it's like they do like a mind meld by looking in each other's eyes or some shit.
That's very much the way that the editing frames it. But
yeah,
all the same, Corey makes it out of the sewer now, and pretty much the second that the daylight hits his face, a homeless man comes up to him, having grabbed the knife that was swatted out of his hand, and is like, "Hey, I'm gonna kill you now.
Yeah, right.
I'm the real Michael Myers." And so then he is, struggling with Corey, and Corey, in an act of self-defense, takes the knife and stabs the man.
Right.
But then, in an act of not self-defense, stabs him many, many times, and then proceeds onward.
Yeah.
Then Laurie
is
at home working on her memoir, as she spends most of the movie doing.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Now seems like a good time to look outside of my window."
Right.
And then she sees Corey standing by a bush in a very eerily similar manner to a young Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And I think we might even get this boing, boing, like kind of sting of Halloween.
Sure.
And she's clearly like pretty taken aback by this. And so then she decides to go outside, where as she's like going out, she seems to kind of be like checking the spot where she just saw Corey to be like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
And as she gets outside, she sees that he's gone, but she's still kind of fixating on that same spot. And then jump scare, because Corey's right behind her, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Is Allison here?" Basically, Laurie just sits there slack-jawed, unable to say a word, as Allison then comes out onto the porch. He's like, "Allison, I'm so sorry that I was mean to you for no reason.
Yeah.
I have to talk to you. Please, just go for a walk with me."
Yeah.
And so she's like, "You know what? I'll do that."
Yeah.
So they go for a walk.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how far they walked.
He has to rack his brain for an opener.
Yeah, I don't know if there was conversation that led up to this, but he goes, I killed a person. And
And she goes, yeah, no, we talked about this. Like, look, that happened a long time ago. People don't understand. And then he has to go, no, I killed another person.
well, that's the thing, though, is he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Because all he does is say that I killed a person.
Yeah.
And
then takes her to the house of the
other boy. So so I don't know if this is supposed to mean that he is not. He's just saying like, yeah, I killed that kid. I want to like give you my side of the story.
Sure.
Or if he's like talking about weird, and dumb and unimportant. But regardless, he says I killed a person. She says nothing and just looks at him. And then they sneak into the now abandoned house where that boy was killed.
Yeah.
And so basically he's given the play-by-play of like, yeah, we were watching the thing over there. I got some chocolate milk over here. And then that's where he died.
Yeah.
And she's pretty much just like, the moment I saw you, I knew there was something special about you.
Yeah.
At some point they go to a diner where he's like basically in tears. And he's like, at one point you said to me that you wanted to leave Haddonfield behind and just see this place just burn it all to the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you. And then Doug, her ex-boyfriend, comes up and is like, hey, how's it going?
Howdy.
And then she's like, oh, hey, Doug.
He's like, hey, baby, you never called. And she's like, yeah, you're right. I did say I'd call you. That's on me. I owe you a call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like, oh, hey, you have company. Well, that's all well and good. Don over there or whatever is celebrating his, 50th murder of an innocent civilian. Us here in the cop bureau. And, we just wanted to invite you over. And she's like, oh, I'm good.
And Corey's like, she said leave us alone!
Yeah, because she's like, oh, we're good. And he's like, yeah, you're good. I got you. But if you change your mind and you want to come celebrate the murder of an innocent civilian with us, feel free to. And then Corey freaks out. And he's like, she said we're good!
Yeah, and then he's like, "All right, geez," and then he looks at Corey's face for half a second. He's like, "Wait a second,
yeah,
I know who this is."
Right.
And then he starts going for cheap shots where he's like, "Oh, I bet you this guy makes you feel real safe, huh?
Yeah.
Huh, Allison? Well, when something terrible happens to you, I'm sure he'll be there to help out."
Right.
All right, I'm going to go have cake now. Bye.
Right.
And then he goes to sit with his cop buddies.
Yeah.
And so then Corey sits back down next to her and is like, anyway, as I was saying.
Yeah, right.
You want to burn this place down? I'll light the match.
Yeah, right. Fucking A.
And then sexy music as they ride on the motorcycle.
Yeah, because I guess that's just no red flags there with any of those altercations for her.
Yeah. And so anyway, yes.
Sarah, we're watching the movie. As we're watching it in the theater, because the guy's like, oh, does this guy make you feel safe? And Corey, stands up super aggressively and super quickly, gets up in his face and starts, doing, the ram horn to horn type of, yeah, buddy. Yeah, squaring up, stare down stuff. And I remember you're just like, and she's thinking about if there's an option C.
Yeah, really,
because, if that happened, there's no fucking way I wouldn't be like, all right, my taste has declined tragically.
I think actually I don't want to be with
either of you.
two.
This is an embarrassment, and both of you got a lot of growing up to do.
Yeah. But she does not do that, and she's like, you're really hot. So after the whole diner altercation and after sexy motorcycle music time, they pull up to Laurie's house where Allison lives, and they make
Tonsil
out.
hockey, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, "Why don't you come inside?" And he's like, "Another time, baby."
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so bad.
Yeah, and she's like, "Okay," and so she goes inside.
Jesus Christ.
So she goes inside, and then he starts driving away, and then we see that there's a car that perhaps looks like it's part of the police authority, not far behind him, kind of scoping out the situation. And so this cop car, or cop-adjacent looking car, starts driving after him, and he seems to be aware of this. And so he keeps on driving, and he ends up taking his motorcycle to the underpass where he had his altercation with Michael Myers and the homeless man that he killed.
Yep.
And so the police officer, Doug, pulls up and is ready to kick this kid's ass. And he's looking around under this underpass, and he sees there's a tent. He's carrying a flashlight, so he sees like a silhouette of a person in this tent, and so he approaches this tent and opens it, ready to kick some ass. But much to his surprise, the only thing that comes out of this tent is a dead homeless man.
Yes.
And he's just like, damn, I didn't even kill this homeless man.
Yes, right.
And then...
Was this Donnie's 48th innocent civilian he killed? I don't remember this guy.
Yeah, because he's not like really... Like, he's like... He more or less is jump scared that there was a body, but he's not like, oh my God, a body.
Yeah,
he's like, that wasn't what I was expecting.
My God. Anyway, moving on.
So then he's like kind of like scratching his head. No, did I do that? And then Corey comes up behind him with like a jacket, it looks like, and is like
what the fuck?
basically like looking like he's trying to suffocate him or something with this jacket.
Yeah.
And they squabble and altercate, and Doug ends up getting a good whack to Corey in the face and gets him off of him. But Corey just runs off, laughing in a totally sane manner, and he like climbs on all fours through the sewer that he got dragged into before. And Doug is like, all right, I'm going after that guy.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So Doug like goes in and he's just like taunting him all the while of like, oh, you can trick everybody else because everybody else seems to think that you were innocent, but I know that you killed that kid on purpose.
Yes.
Hey, where'd you go? Doug's like looking around like, where the hell's this guy at? And like more or less like looks directly at Michael Myers, but like just doesn't notice. But he keeps looking around, and then he sees Corey, who like does like a WWE style like jump at him, I think. And the two fight and everything, and Corey like whacks him in the head and like knocks him to the ground. And then we see Michael Myers, who is like clearly like on his last leg here. Like he's not looking too good.
Right.
And Corey is like more or less grabbing Michael Myers by the lapels, and he's like, "Come on, show me how to kill this dude."
That's right.
And Michael Myers like seems to again be kind of putting in an honest effort to get up, and Corey's like, "Come on, get up, get up!" And so Michael Myers does get up, and he pulls a knife out of the rubble in the wall or something like that. And then he starts stabbing at what's his name while Corey holds him, and with every thrust, he seems to get more Michael Myers-esque and stronger.
Yep.
And Doug dies. Then you can pretty much just imagine, like, let me tell you about my best friend. Start as Michael Myers and Corey have now started to forge a lifelong friendship.
Yes.
Lifelong for Corey.
Yeah, right, but Anyway.
Some amount of time later, and so then they ride on the motorcycle, and then they end up like sitting on top of like the radio station building.
Yeah, with the mouth of the South.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, watch this, baby!" And then he like jumps off the roof, and she's like, "Oh my God!" But it turns out he just jumped to like a different part of the roof.
Sure.
And she's like, "You really scared me." And he's just like, "I think you're just worried that you won't have enough bandages to put me back together."
Right.
And then he like jumps off the roof again.
Oh my God. Dude,
to which
fucking awful rating.
Yeah. And so then he now is on the ground, and she's like, "I'm going to take the ladder because that doesn't seem like the most efficient way to
the
get
ladder
down,
of what?
off of the roof of the building."
Oh.
And so she then
not the
gets,
former.
Yeah, not that ladder.
I see.
LADDER.
Yes.
So she takes the LADDER and she
what's that spell?
The former.
Yes.
So she goes down to the ground level where now the mouth of the South comes out and
the
is
chest
like,
of the West.
The chest of the West.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, get the hell off of my roof. Also, if you don't leave my property, I'm going to kill you because I know who both of you are, and you guys are both fucked up, and I'm going to say appropriate jabs to both of you, and that's that."
Right. He's like, "Oh, and also get off my fucking property before I kick your ass."
Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, okay. We'll do that." And so they do that. I want to say around this point, like while they're going to the like radio tower and doing all their other stuff, we have a few things with Laurie that are minorly important to bring up. Namely, we have one point where she goes into the grocery store and she runs into old police chief fella, that being Frank from the last movie. They flirt just about as gracefully as Corey and Allison do. And she's like, boy, I sure like you. And then she leaves the grocery store. And she seems to be in a pretty chipper mood when she leaves the grocery store. And somebody like directly outside of the grocery store door is like, look at you. You seem pretty happy, huh? She's like, yeah, I am actually. She's like, well, you shouldn't be.
Yeah, right.
Because that's my sister right there. Right. And she was killed. Or no, she wasn't killed. She's just carrying her sister's dead body, waiting for Laurie to come up. And she's like, that's my sister right there. And her husband was killed. And she got injured in such a way that she can't talk no more. All because of you always flaunting yourself to Michael Myers. And you just keep teasing Michael Myers. It's all your fault. And everybody in the town blames you. There's also another scene at some point where Laurie, having had her, I don't want to say altercation, but her moment of seeing Corey outside the window and reminding her an awfully lot of Michael Myers, she decides to go to Corey's mom. And she's like, hey, I just wanted to talk to you about your son. You know, he's dating my granddaughter. And that's pretty much about all she gets to say, because the mother is then like, he's a good boy, and anybody would be lucky to have him.
Right.
Also, I hate you, Laurie Strode, because you made the town worse because of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Get out. And then Laurie's like, okay, I'll get out. Michael Myers and Corey have now built a friendship here. And Laurie is becoming suspicious of Corey. Allison is head over heels with Corey for some reason. And Corey seems to be somewhat on the rocks with his mother because of the way that she babies him. And so, at some point, there is a scene where Allison is at work, and she also seems to be kind of having Corey's attitude rub off on her, where she's getting kind of more aggressive and stuff. Anyway, she's at work, and then we see the hot coworker who's like, "Oh, tell me about Corey. It's so crazy that like the freak and the freak are together." Ha 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 ha. But she means it. I don't know. She doesn't seem to be saying it in a biting way like the bullies were. But she's just like that, not self-aware, I guess. But all the same, Allison is like, "Hey, will you shut the fuck up?" And yeah, so she like is clearly not too happy with what's her name, and
Debbie. That's not her name. I don't think. Because there's like a thing where the nurse is like, "Oh, I can't believe I got the promotion, and not you. I thought for sure you were going to get the promotion." And Allison's like, "Yeah,
I really
thought for sure I was going to get the promotion too."
Yeah, so then sometime after that, we see that hot nurse and the doctor having some kind of relationship here. And they get in there, and he's in a nice, like, rich home, and he's like, "Hey, baby, why don't you go take a shower while I get everything all nice and sexy out here?" So she goes and takes a shower while he, like, does stuff by the pool and sets up candles and stuff like that, or whatever the hell he does. So she hears something, and she decides to put her like robe on that she got as a nice gift from her lover, and go outside and greet him. And so she goes outside, and at first she doesn't see him, and she's like, "Huh, what's going on?" But she turns her head and sees that there's a man wearing a scarecrow mask, which, by the way, we didn't mention, but Corey was wearing that at the party. And he's just fucking killing this dude with a corkscrew. And she's like, I'm going to run inside and be safe from the murderous man outside.
Right.
So she runs inside, and Corey, like, tries his best to get in, but can't. And he's, like, pounding on the door and everything. And she's like, whew, boy, am I glad that I'm safe in here, and there's not a second
killer.
murderer.
Yeah, right, yes, exactly.
And then right on cue, the second murderer emerges from the shadows, that being Michael Myers himself.
The shape. The shape.
And yeah, so he does his shapely ways and pins her to the wall, just like he did to old Bob.
Yeah, it turns out that it seems like most of the murders in this movie are like a tribute to other Halloween movies murders.
What the hell ever.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so they're dead, and again, Michael Myers and Corey more or less like high five, and they're like, "Good job."
Nate, no, I have to leave.
All right, so long, Mike.
Bye. Nate, I've decided to come back.
Oh, thank God. I don't think I could have done that by myself, Mike. This movie is too much of a mess.
Dude, this movie.
I think Corey goes home where his mother is like, "Where were you? I was worried sick. Take this slap to the face. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Let me kiss you, and this is not going to be uncomfortable at all."
With tongue, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so that happens, and he just sits there, very Michael Myers-esque, devoid of emotion.
Right.
Yeah, because I think Jamie Lee Curtis goes to the bar where she's just kind of like more or less venting to Lindsay, who's like a bartender.
Okay.
And she's just like, I don't like this Corey kid, something's really off about him. And then Lindsay's like, it's funny you say that, because there's somebody in this bar that I'd like you to meet.
Right.
And then he's just in the background, like, waving.
Right. Yeah. Right, he is doing that, isn't he?
He doesn't wave, but he might as well. He's just, like, sitting there with the pool stick.
For some reason, I have a very vivid image of this guy, like, waving.
It's a funny thing to picture.
I don't know why. Anyway, yes.
But yeah, and he pretty much is just like, yeah, I've had a lot of time to think about this, and unlike my wife, who the viewers will remember harassed Corey at the bar, I don't think that Corey's a bad kid. I think it was an accident. But I did run into him the other day, and he looked like he could potentially be a murderer, is the long and short of it. I don't even know that he necessarily like goes up to his mom and is like, "Ma, I'm running away with what's-her-face, Allison." But regardless, the ma figures it out and is like, "You're going to leave me for that Allison girl? Well, fine, get out." And then he goes and sleeps at the abandoned house. We see Corey wake up on the floor of the abandoned house, like pretty much sleeping over the blood stain in the floor of the boy who was killed.
Yeah.
And he is awoken by a constant like ticking sound almost.
Sure. Yeah.
And so he like looks around, and we see that Jamie Lee Curtis is there, and she's like sitting in a chair, and she's like leaning back and keeps hitting the chair like up against like a wall or a door or something like that, and it's making like a sound. And he's like, "What, Allison? Is that you?" And then Jamie Lee Curtis is like, "I don't want you seeing Allison anymore."
All right.
And he very much.
No, that's not necessarily true.
Go ahead.
Because she monologues for a bit.
That's fair. Do you remember the contents of that?
No,
monologue?
I do. Do you?
No.
Okay. She's like, "Corey, let me tell you.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
It's me, Jamie Lee Curtis. And I'm here to tell you about 2 different types of evil one might encounter in this world.
Yes, I remember.
Now, there's 2 different types of evil one might encounter in this here world. And they are as follows. There is pure external evil, a force of malevolence that just goes about killing any which way, causing pain and chaos wherever they may go. And that is one type of evil. But there's another type of evil. And that's the type of evil that lies dormant within us all, waiting, festering, compelling us to do awful, terrible things. And in some ways, that evil is even worse than the former evil. Because the evil that lies within us all can start to take over without us even noticing. And damn it. And so, with that said, I think you're infected, my child. And with that in mind, I just need you to know that it's something that must be excised from you. But more importantly, I don't believe you can do it. And so, you can no longer date my granddaughter.
That's not fair! You introduced me into her in the first place! It's all your fault! I hate you!
Yeah, he does kind of do that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly verbatim. And then, it's weird as, like, grandma is like, "You can't have her."
Yeah.
And both of them are totally willing to go into, like, no, she's mine. No,
Yeah.
she's mine.
And then he takes it a step further to say, "If I can't have her, no one can have her."
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't even remember what, but he, like, turns his head for whatever reason, and then he, like, turns it back, and Jamie Lee Curtis is not there anymore.
Yeah,
and then
right.
He, like, looks around, and
Yeah.
she's nowhere to be found,
Yep.
and you can assume that either, one, she was an apparition, or she went out the window.
Right, yeah. I like the window. Because I'm pretty sure this is when Corey calls Allison.
I
It's
think
like,
you're.
"Hey,
I was
baby,
just thinking that
we got
too.
to kick bricks. Your grandma wants to pull us apart, and
Well, I think also he's not just like, hey, your grandma wants to pull us apart. He just straight up is like,
your grandma wants to kill me.
She's trying to kill me.
Yeah, right. And Allison's like, yeah, that scans. All right, let's jump down. God damn, dude, the red flags. Like Allison in this movie is so fucking dumb.
She's like, you're right. I'm gonna go pack my things.
Yeah.
And so she goes to pack her things. And while she does that, Corey is like, you know what? If Laurie Strode wants Michael Myers, I'm going to give her Michael Myers.
Yeah, more or less.
So he goes to the sewer where Michael Myers is hanging out. Yeah, he basically just like pushes Michael Myers over and like pulls the mask off his face and is like, bye.
Yeah.
So then he like leaves the sewer with Michael Myers' mask. And then goes on a killing spree.
Yeah.
Having acquired this Michael Myers mask, he's not yet put it on, but he's riding on his motorcycle, and he stops at a certain convenience store where there is a familiar convertible. And while these convertible inhabitants are in the convenience store, Corey takes the time to carve the word psycho into the hood of this convertible, where then those really cool band kids
super cool.
come out of the convenience store to see this, and they're like, oh, egads, somebody scratched my father's convertible. And then they turn their head to see Corey, who I don't think he does this, but he might as well like flip them off and then like be like taunt them to come after him. And then he rides straight to the junkyard. They follow him, and he gets to the junkyard. And they see that his bike is sitting there, but he himself is nowhere to be found.
And seeing this, they're really super confident that they're like, nothing weird here. Let's go storm blindly into this junkyard then.
Mm-hmm. Basically, it's the same dynamic as it was before, where 3 of these 4 kids are pretty gung-ho of like, all right, let's fuck this guy up with the one kid whose father the convertible belongs to is like leading the charge. And then there's this like one girl who's kind of like, guys, I don't know, maybe we should just go to the football game. And she's still, carrying that type of energy, and the rest of them are still like, nope, we're going to go fucking murder this dude. And so while they're doing that, they, again, have seen Corey's bike, and they're like, let's fuck this bike up, teach him a lesson.
Right.
So they, like, kick it over, probably hit it with a bat or something like that. I don't remember. And then they find, like, a chain, because they're in a junkyard, as you see. They, like, put the chain through, like, the spokes of the wheel, and then he's like, all right, Billy.
Yeah, like
I think his name actually is Billy.
No, I hope.
Yeah. It's like, all right, Billy, go put this chain on the car and then drive it away. We're going to drag this thing. And so then he, like, does that while he more or less, like, rubs his hands maniacally and, like, just waits for the car to take off.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't happen. And he's like, what the hell, Billy?
Right.
And so he just, like, kind of, like, continues to say, what the hell, Billy, as he, like, approaches the car. And then finally, when he gets there, he sees in the front seat Billy is there, but he has had a drumstick jammed through his eye socket. And if you're not sure, that means that he's dead.
Yeah, and he was the one that was carrying drumsticks all the time.
Yeah, so it's fitting.
Which you called. Like
I did, yeah. I was like,
you were like, oh, he's going to get killed with his drumsticks.
Yeah, and you were like, I don't know, we'll see.
Oh, I don't know that I said that. I'm pretty sure I said, no, that's probably an accurate call you've made there.
Maybe I just heard no.
No.
All right.
Yeah, no. I went, nah, man, that's 100% right. In fact, I'm pretty sure I said that first.
I was like, yeah, you did. Good call, Mike. And we know that he's dead because then the leader of the gang who found the dead body goes, Billy's dead! And I would say, honestly, this kid, in my opinion, some of the worst acting in the movie. Honestly, all these kids, like, in the bits where they're, like, being killed and stuff, their reactions are just so, like, ah!
I suppose I haven't seen it again.
Yeah.
But from my recollection, I mean, they did what they were supposed to do.
I'll have to show you the scenes again.
I think Allison and Corey are bad actors, frankly. Yeah. But I don't know if they're bad or if it's just intentionally campy and they're doing it like that.
Doing a great job at it.
Yeah, but I don't know. It seems like some of the stuff that they were like made to do is Stuff that, even if it was intentionally campy, it was still bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, anyway, all the same, he's like, Billy's dead! And they're like, huh? Billy's dead? Let me walk over there to like close the gap between us so we can talk about this in a more reasonable volume.
Uh-huh.
And then as they're doing that, they see headlights kind of come on from a vehicle that's like perpendicular to their location. And they turn their head, and there's a tow truck. You might as well just see like a Michael Myers mask like through the windshield. And they're like, ah, as it comes towards them. So both of them just start running. Mm-hmm. And instead of running on the path that they were going to, which is to Billy's car, which again, it's like perpendicular. So it's not like directly. Right. He at least have to do some redirecting. They decide to just run like along the path that the tow truck is already facing.
Right.
And they like go straight for the gate. It's a fence that has barbed wire on the top, I should say. And the one girl, she just like is not perturbed by the barbed wire.
Yeah, it's not relevant right now. Yeah,
she's like, you know what? That seems like the least of my worries, and she makes it no problem and makes it out of harm's way.
And the other makes it over the barbed wire fence with no problem.
I feel like she had some problem, but she made it over all the same.
Yes.
And yeah, so she made it over with just enough time to basically have her feet touch the ground and then turn her head and then see that the tow truck is already at the fence and running her over.
Right.
So she gets run over by the tow truck.
But is alive.
Yeah. So she's like basically just pinned under this under the fence that has the tow truck over top of it. And we don't know the extent of her injuries, but I'm sure it's pretty bad.
Right.
Leader of this gang, whose name I don't know, decides to like just start banging on windows and get the attention of the person who might work here, which happens to be Corey's uncle father.
Yeah.
And he's like, help, there's a maniac killing us in your yard.
Right.
And so the man is like, oh, hang on, let me get my guns. And so he does. He grabs like a pistol for himself, I think, and then like gives lead gang dude like a rifle. But he tells him to stay there. He's like, hold on to this for protection, but stay here. And so then he goes to investigate. And I guess in the time that it's taking for them to walk over here, Corey, donning the Michael Myers attire and all, has gotten out of the car, and the girl who did not get hit by the car is now trying to check on her friend who did get hit by the car. But Michael Myers, a.k.a. Corey, comes up behind her with a wrench and beats her to death.
There you go.
So now the aforementioned crew, being Uncle Father and the head of this posse, they're strolling up. The Uncle Father goes to the tow truck while the other one kind of like hangs back. And so Uncle Father sees in the light in the headlights Corey standing maskless, holding Michael Myers' mask in his hand. And he's obviously very confused about this. And he's like, Corey? And he says it like very much like that. He's not like, Corey, oh my God, what'd you do? He's like, oh, hey, Corey, like, what are you doing here? You can help us find this dude who's killing everybody. The leader of this teenage gang of band kids, he is not confused by Corey's presence. And he is like, I'm going to kill you, you freak. And so he picks up the rifle and takes his shot. But Uncle Father chose the exact wrong moment to stand up and try to talk to Corey and just gets domed. And then when we see his body fall, we see that Corey is no longer where he once was. And so the kid's
He's now like half a step to the left. No, not really.
Just out of camera view. And so then the kid freaks out and is like, oh my God, I shot a man. And so he runs up to now check on girl pinned under the fence. And he's like, oh my God, are you okay? And she's like, no, I'm not. Oh my God. And then he's like, where's the other person? She's like, oh, she's dead over there, you see? He's like, oh yeah, I do see. And then this is, again, a contender for one of the stupidest lines in this movie, in my opinion, and why I think that these kids did a particularly bad job. Then the girl under the fence then just goes, and now you're dead too.
Oh, right.
And then Corey grabs the kid and gets his welding equipment and burns this dude's face.
Yep.
Of course, you know, he can't just leave a girl trapped under the fence to die trapped under the fence. So he decides to put her out of her misery and gives a good old-fashioned stomp to the head.
Yeah, he brings the boot.
Yeah.
The DJ next, or is there more?
I think it's his mother.
Seems like he would kill his mother, but I don't remember it.
Well, see, here's the thing. So his mother is at home watching TV, and she like hears the door open, and I think she's even just like, "Oh, Corey, I knew you'd come crawling back to Mama." And then we see a drawer open, and we see a knife that is very similar to the knives that Michael Myers likes to use to kill people, and he grabs it. And the framing is very particular in this, and we do not see the killer's face.
Okay.
And yeah, the killer then comes up behind her and kills her.
Right.
And,
okay.
Not a whole lot of fanfare, but again, his face is never shown.
Right.
Which led me to believe in the theater that this is actual Michael Myers, like going around. Because Michael Myers, he's around. He's not just like dead or powerless without his mask.
Right.
And we see him then come up later and do some killing. So I guess it could be, but that doesn't make much sense narratively as to why he would have a bone to pick with this lady.
Right.
Although, of course, he never really needed bones to pick to kill people.
To be Michael Myers about stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It feels to me like the makers of this film wanted to leave it ambiguous, but I don't see why it would be why it would need to be ambiguous, because there's like no reason for it. The back of that head looks like a very like bald, like couple strands of hair head, which makes me think that it's actual Michael Myers.
Yeah, well, yeah, because like Corey couldn't like just come up and immediately make it to the DJ booth after that, could he?
No.
Could he? But then again, I guess he couldn't just like admit. I don't know. I don't know if this is meant to be like a scene-to-scene type of thing. I'm willing to, without checking at all, entertain the fact that it could be Michael Myers himself.
See, again, it looks like Michael Myers to me, but narratively, I can't imagine any reason why it would be. But again, to be a broken record, it's not like Michael Myers needs a reason to kill people.
Yeah, but it would just be right, exactly. Yeah.
It would make sense for Corey to be like, I'm gonna kill you, Ma, because I have all these ill feeling towards you because of the abuse that you put me through. And smothering, but yeah, that looks like an old man's head.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But regardless, she dies. I don't know whether it's actual Michael Myers or faux Michael Myers, which is Corey. Allison is like packing her bags at home,
getting ready to meet
and
him.
she's like, "Man, I can't wait to go meet my boyfriend at the diner."
Right.
And Jamie Lee Curtis is like, "You are not meeting your boyfriend at the diner because I forbid you to go see him." And she's pretty much just like,
Jesus Christ.
Fuck you. Everything that all these people in the town are saying about how you're really the cause of all this, I am going to imply that maybe that's how I feel because you have upset me very deeply.
Right.
In some way, blame you for the death of my parents.
Okay.
And regardless of that, and whether I really mean that, what I do mean is that there's a lot of really shitty feelings tied to this town, and I don't want to be here anymore. And Corey is a way out and makes me feel safe right now.
Right.
Fuck you. I'm going to slam the door in your face and continue packing my bags, and then I'm going to leave. But yeah, anyway. So now Corey heads to the Mouth of the South, Chest of the West radio station.
Him that, yeah.
And it was like Willie the Kid. This is actually
no,
Mouth of the South is way better.
Way better. I mean, that is an old wrestling manager's name. I feel like I have to tell you Mouth of the South. Chest of the West, original though.
Ah, good.
Chest of the West
that's
is original. Yeah.
But yeah, so he comes up and he goes through the door, and there's like a receptionist at the desk, and she's like, "Hi, can I help you?" And then, like, while she's doing that, Chest of the West is doing his radio show. And so he has his, like, headphones on, and which I imagine are noise canceling. And he's just doing his radio DJ stuff. And he's like, "This one goes out to all the scared Halloween people on Halloween night. Mm-hmm. Watch out for Michael Myers, get you." And then, like, in the background, Corey is like strangling the receptionist,
right,
and kills her. I don't think that they waste any time to have Corey just like walk up right behind the dude and just bash his face up against the desk and turntable and do some pretty neat looking gore face
murder stuff, yeah.
And then he takes it a step further by snipping the dude's tongue off, which then falls onto the record and makes the record skip. That's that.
Yep.
while he's doing his murdering,
Uh-huh.
I believe then Allison has like gone to the diner that they agreed to go to,
Yep.
and is like, "Oh boy, I can't wait for him to get here." And like every time that the door opens, she like turns her head like, "Is that him?" But it's never him.
Yep.
And yeah, so then after enough time has gone by,
She goes to his house and knocks on his door a couple times and sends some texts like, "Hey, you good?" without her knowing that just on the other side of the door is his dead mother.
there you go.
Yep.
Yep.
But she doesn't like investigate that at all.
Yeah,
she's
she's
not
just like,
like,
huh.
let me go inside. Like, no, nothing. She just
Yeah.
like knocks on the door, like pans to
I
his
do
dead
vaguely remember
mother,
that now. Yeah.
and then goes back to the door or whatever.
Yep.
Anyway, what's your guess for next scene?
Just so you know, viewer, Mike is now like skimming through the movie
Yeah.
on his phone.
Yeah.
So this is a fun thing.
This is available.
I wish we'd do this more often.
Well,
yeah.
this for movies that are available on Peacock.
Yeah.
This is an incredibly helpful device. Yeah, especially for boring movies. That,
Okay, yeah. So my guess now is that Laurie is doing her fake suicide.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm on it.
Spot on.
Yeah. So Laurie is is at home alone, and she seems pretty depressed. And she decides to start doing some drinking, put that old computer to work, and type up a suicide note.
Mm-hmm.
And takes a swig of her whiskey,
And
grabs the old revolver that she has,
and
and she grabs the phone and she calls
no.
911.
What does she do? What does she do before she does this?
Oh,
But
she
what
lights
does
a pumpkin, right?
There we go. Yes, right.
Fucking
yes.
stupid shit.
No, she lights a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah,
Come
she
on.
likes a lights
like
a
the thing.
jack-o'-lantern because that's what you do when you kill yourself. And then she calls 911. I don't want to do like a sad voice because that makes me sound like I'm trivializing the thought of suicidal
this
ideation.
movie already did. This movie already did.
Okay, yeah, don't get offended by
We're
this.
just being
Don't get
faithful
mad
to
at
the
me,
film.
I should say.
We're just being faithful to the film.
Yeah, we are just actors in this crazy world.
Yeah.
It's like, hello, 911 operator. I'd like to report a suicide. And she hangs up.
Yep.
And then the point of view shifts to through the doorway. And we cannot see Laurie. But we hear that pistol cocking. And then we hear that fateful shot. And we see some kind of matter splatter up against the wall.
Yeah.
And then we're clued in that we're not just getting the POV of a cameraman, but the POV of somebody who is watching this as they open the door. And then we see that Laurie did not, in fact, kill herself, but she's holding a gun at the person whose POV we have. And she says, "Do you really think I would kill myself?"
Yes, right.
And then she shoots him 4 times, right? It's not 6 times.
I think it's like 2.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's 2.
She shoots him not 6 times, and he falls off the banister in a very similar way to the boy he killed, and then he lands on the floor.
Yep.
Yeah. So Laurie basically like races down the steps and is like, "Ha! I got you, you bastard!
Right.
You're evil, and you've been corrupted, and sucks to suck."
Yep.
To which then he's like, "Aha! Sucks to suck is what you think, because I am going to kill myself." And then he pulls out a knife and is like, "If I can't have Allison, no one will." And then he slices his throat. But he doesn't die. He just slices his throat.
Yeah, I mean, he just stabs himself in the neck. But
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
He stabs himself in the neck.
Yeah.
And then Laurie is like so shocked by this
Yeah.
that she's like, "Oh God, I have to grab the knife."
Yeah,
And so
right,
she
yeah.
grabs the knife, and then all according to Corey's plan, Allison then opens the door and is like, "Grandma, I think that maybe we should patch this bridge up." And then she like sees Laurie like standing over Corey's body with blood in her hands, holding the bloody knife.
Yeah.
And Jamie Lee Curtis is just like, "It's not what it looks like."
Right.
But Allison is not willing to hear her out and storms off crying.
Yeah. Which then leaves Jamie Lee Curtis crying. So
Yeah.
Allison storms off and drives away.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Lee Curtis cries in a corner.
Mm-hmm.
And then a mysterious hand comes from above the Michael Myers mask that has been taken off of Corey
Ooh.
in the hallway of Laurie's house and picks up the mask and goes over to the knife near Corey's dead body, which we then learn is not a dead body at all because Corey reaches out and grabs the mysterious hand that has grabbed the mask and tries to wrestle the knife away from him. But we now understand it to be actual, real, no joke Michael Myers, and he grabs Corey's face and just kills him on the spot.
Yeah, he deletes him as a friend on Facebook.
Yeah, more or less, yeah. Pretty much equivalent, yeah.
Yeah.
So now Michael Myers is reunited with his mask and his knife and is in Laurie's house, and Laurie is kind of catching on to the fact that Michael Myers is in her home.
And eventually she is fully aware to the fact that Michael Myers is in her home.
Mm-hmm.
So she hides in the pantry, and Michael Myers starts scoping out the house to find out where Laurie might be.
In the meantime, Allison is driving out of town. She's like, oh, God, my grandmother killed my boyfriend. How else could this day go wrong? And so she's driving away.
Yeah. But I can't remember who it is. I think it might actually even be Lindsay.
Sure.
But she's just like,
oh, right.
She's
fucking right.
Yeah, they.
Oh, my God.
Just like, hey,
my God.
it's me on the phone. Your grandmother's going to kill herself.
Yeah, fucking A, dude. Yeah, she texts her oh, your grandma just called in a suicide. Yeah. God, fuck right. God, I forgot all about that. Oh, my God, how dumb. Anyway, yeah, so back to Laurie hiding in the pantry from Michael Myers while she makes some, microwave something.
Yeah, she has the microwave going. There's a light bulb that was smacking against something and making a very minute noise. And she's like, and so she grabs it and stops it. And then Michael Myers hears the noise, stop. And then it's you know what? I'm going to go check out what that is.
Right.
So he makes his way over to the pantry that she's at. And right when he's about to open it, the microwave, whatever's in the microwave, explodes. And he turns around to check that. And then she hits him with something, I think.
Yep.
And then they battle back and forth. Super riveting stuff. He almost garbage disposals her hand.
Yeah, which we saw in the trailer.
But yeah, she manages to get her hand not garbage disposal.
Yep.
And she stabs him in the hand with a knife and pins it to the kitchen island. And then they fight some more. She manages to somehow pin the other hand down. And
with another knife.
Yeah, with another knife. There was a bit where I was very disappointed because it seemed to me like she was going to climb on top of the fridge and do a WWE style
that would
elbow
have
drop.
been way cooler.
But no, she just pushes the refrigerator on top of him, pinning his legs down.
Right.
So now he is more or less completely pinned down to this kitchen island, having both of his hands pinned down and one of his legs with the refrigerator on top of it. So it's safe to say it does not seem like he's going
He's
anywhere.
moving, yeah, right.
He's doing his struggling, trying his best to get out, but it seems all for naught.
Yeah.
Because then so she grabs a knife and is taunting him in a way. She's showing him his own reflection in the knife. She's like, "Ooh, I am gonna kill you, buddy."
Oh, baby.
And then I believe she takes off his mask
and slits his throat, completely slits his throat.
Yeah.
There on the table. And, so she does that before he rips his hand off, from what I'm gathering here. I don't know. She's taking her sweet fucking time. I'm still watching the taunting thing that you just mentioned because, God, does it have to drag on? Yeah, she slits his throat. She slits his throat the clear as day with the mask off.
Yep.
And now he rips his hand off of the knife and actually starts to strangle her. But, yeah, Allison arrives and I don't know what the fuck she does.
She hits him with something and
she breaks his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she breaks his arm. I don't think she I don't see her hitting him with anything here yet.
Boo, she should hit him with a chair.
Oh wait, it's this fucking movie. But yeah, all right. So Jamie Lee Curtis is being strangled. She's being strangled. Flashbacks. Yeah, no. She just grabs his hand and breaks his arm. Yeah, no.
All right, stupid. Yeah, so she breaks his arm.
All those years of BJJ have really paid off.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
She breaks his arm. Then Jamie Lee Curtis takes the knife and slits his wrists.
Yep, delivers the real final killing blow for realsies.
And he bleeds out.
The police have finally arrived for the suicide that she was like, oh, hey, I'm killing myself. Y'all better get here. So they finally
All right,
get
we'll be
here.
there in 25 minutes.
Yes, exactly. So they finally get there, and now she's like, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. Michael Myers is dead. Let's tie him to the roof of a car and do a police escort around town." And also, like, the sheriff guy from Halloween Kills just shows up at the last second, completely unexplained. But anyway, yeah, it's time for the parade, baby.
Yeah, and they tie him to the roof of the car. They parade him around the town, and then they take him to the scrapyard.
Corey's scrapyard.
Yep. And there was a brief moment, much earlier in the film, where we saw an industrial, what would you call it?
I'd call it like a scrapper.
Yeah, just like a
compactor.
Compactor, grinder type thing. Several very spiked-looking gears that are spinning towards each other and demolishing everything that come into them.
Right.
So they just pass his body along to Lori, who's just like standing right at the top, ready to throw some stuff in. And that stuff is Michael Myers.
But they like crowd surf him to the trash compactor, which is fucking weird.
Do, yeah.
Which is pretty cavalier for a man that like not 3 years ago was like shot and beaten to death in the middle of like a road, and then immediately started slitting throats and shit again. Like I would get like within like a 10-foot fucking radius of that guy.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So they pass the body along, and Mike and I were very convinced that Michael Myers was going to spring back to life and take Jamie Lee Curtis into the compactor with him.
Which makes sense.
But nothing to that effect. They just put him in the compactor, and he gets ground away to dust. She continues writing her memoir, and I assume finishes it. Allison moves away to get away from the terrible place that is Haddonfield, and movie ends, more or less, right?
More or less, yeah. Her and the horny sheriff fella.
Yeah,
the other equally horny sheriff fella. She like stops him and is like, "Tell me about the cherry blossoms, Jerry," or whatever.
Or I'll kill myself.
Yeah. So there you go.
My God, this is going to be such a pain in the ass to edit.
God bless you.
This is going to be awful.
Well, I blame the movie.
I do too. All right, well let's talk about this thing.
Okay,
Mike.
let's go. Let's do it.
I think in a vacuum there are things about this movie that I like. I don't hate that they kill Michael Myers at the end. And I don't hate that the way they do it is by slitting his throat and his wrists and all that. Although I do think it's stupid that they slit his throat and then he was fine and then they slit his wrist. Like, I don't know. They should have just did some other stuff that maybe reasonably should kill somebody. Like, oh, I stabbed him in the ribs 7 times. But, then he continues to strangle her and then they slit his throat and he's dead. That would make a little more sense to me. But whatever. What the fuck ever. That's not the thing that upsets me the most. And Mike and I had talked about this a good bit before we started recording the podcast here, because we just finished watching the end of Halloween Kills because we wanted to watch the extended version. And in that movie, if you've not listened to our recap of it, have not seen the movie or anything to that effect, that movie ends with Michael Myers essentially getting circled by a bunch of townsfolk who beat the shit out of him, stab him, shoot him several times, and kill this man. This man is dead. Meat wall or not, Michael Myers is dead in that moment. And I don't think that they try to make it seem like he isn't dead. They make it very much seem like, oh yeah, they just killed Michael Myers. But through the power of being a force of evil, Michael Myers is able to then get up and then just kill everybody. And during that time where he is killing everybody, Jamie Lee Curtis is giving a monologue about how Michael Myers is no mere mortal man, and it takes much more than it would to kill a mortal man to kill Michael Myers. And furthermore, that he gains strength with every kill, to which, for me personally, maybe this is not how it was intended, but for me, that is somewhat of an explanation as to how Michael Myers went from essentially being a dead man to then not being a dead man. You can say whatever you want to say of maybe he did die there, maybe he was on the verge of death, whatever. Whatever brought him back is unimportant. But the thing is that once he is brought back in that moment, he kills everybody And then by that logic that Jamie Lee Curtis is saying, which seems to be what the movie is going at, he should be good as new, back to his old Michael Myers ways.
Right.
And that would also, in some respect, retroactively kind of make sense of why Michael Myers just doesn't die after he gets shot several times and all these other things. Because he's all just fucking buffed up from killing a bunch of people.
Killing people, yeah.
Which is fine. I've
made it stat boost per kill.
Yeah, exactly.
Like per potential death that gets subtracted, I guess.
Totally. And, you know, as somebody who has made it abundantly clear that that's not my favorite version of Michael Myers, I very much like Michael Myers as a human dude who is, definitely a lot more damage resistant than a normal person should be. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, is a mortal dude. That's the Michael Myers I like. But I can get behind this Michael Myers. There are enough rules in place.
Yeah, I'm fine. But like Halloween Kills in that scene, like, he gets the shit kicked out of him. And it's not like some cop like walks up to him and like rolls him over and gets a little too close to his stabbing hand and is like trying to check his pulse or whatever. Like, he is like a good like 3 feet back from Michael Myers, like fresh off the mob beating, and is like drawing his gun, getting ready to shoot Michael Myers. And Michael Myers, with like the explosiveness of a linebacker, like hops up and just like slits his throat in one clean, explosive motion. And I'm just not buying it.
I think if you're going to do Michael Myers in that sense,
sure,
I would prefer to see, like I said, where it's like he is not explicitly dead. Like he is a man who is about to die, and the killing blow is about to be dealt, but he turns the tide in some way and then starts getting the upper hand. That's what I'd like to see. Unfortunately, that's not how he did it in Halloween Kills. But regardless, the whole reason I bring this up is because Michael Myers is like dead or on the verge of death here. And then, like you say, with an uncanny, explosive-like movement, is able to then go back to his killing ways.
Right.
At the end of Halloween Ends, that's not at all what we see here.
Not in the slightest.
They're parading his body around. And like you said, like, you don't want to be anywhere near like Michael Myers' body, because at any moment he can just explosively start killing people again.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, in Halloween Kills, Michael Myers gets like stabbed in the ribs 7 times and has enough like vigor and energy to like grab like the head of Allison and like bash her against a post, and then take a dude and play like racquetball with his head between some like fence posts or like stair banisters or whatever. Like he's got the strength to do that after getting like stabbed in the chest like 7 times and like kicked in the shin or whatever. But like in this movie, he's just killed Corey, just killed him, comes into the kitchen to finish the job and kill Lori, gets distracted by an exploding pie in the microwave, and then Lori comes out with a fire extinguisher and doesn't hit him with the fire extinguisher. He goes to use the knife, and she like bashes the knife out of his hands with the fire extinguisher, and then they engage in a hand-to-hand melee, where Michael Myers, fresh off a kill, mind you,
also
is having,
like 7 foot tall Michael Myers
against like fucking like Jamie Lee Curtis,
60-year-old Jamie Lee Curtis,
like 6 removed from like Activia. And so they're engaged in like a physical melee, and he's like trying to do the hand trash compactor thing, and she's putting up enough of a fight to like be like, no, God, no, and then like it doesn't happen, and she like fights him off with like a headbutt to the nose, where it's like, in Halloween Kills, she would have headbutted him in the nose. His head would have flown back, and he would have immediately shoved her hand back into the trash compactor.
In Halloween Kills, in the flashback scene where he kills, or like right before he kills the cop, when the other cop accidentally shoots him, Michael Myers runs up and pins this guy against the wall, bashing his head against the wall. This dude, who's like a grown man, a cop who I'd like to think at least in some good physical condition to be a cop, is like gut punching Michael Myers.
Right.
Like, and Michael Myers is just taking it.
Yeah, right.
And like, like you say, like, and then here 60-year-old Jamie Lee Curtis is enough to like push him off fresh off of a kill, which apparently like boosts his stats.
Yeah, like Michael Myers in Halloween Kills almost has like a Pokemon move, like counter or like mirror coat thing about him, where like every bit of damage he absorbs, he immediately puts back into the next attack he has against someone. So if you like gut punch him 7 times, he now with the force of like
can
7
just
gut
strangle
punches,
you 7 times harder.
But like it's one of these things where it's like you'll hit him like 7 times in the chest, and it's like the collected kinetic force of all of your punches will go into the power he like takes your head and like slams it into a wall with.
No, absolutely.
That's like how he's doing. Like he's absorbing and then exerting like tenfold the energy he's getting hit with. But that's not at all what happens here in this fucking like fight with Laurie at all. Like he's just having trouble shoving this old lady's hand in the trash compactor.
And that's what gets me, because if you're gonna make Michael Myers an evil force, do that.
Yeah, right.
That's what I love about Halloween Kills. Like, I think Halloween Kills is a pretty flawed movie, but it's a fun movie. Right. And it's a fun movie because of stuff like that.
Yes.
And also, just to beat a fucking dead horse here, to come back to this whole thing of the inconsistencies here. So again, if we're going with this idea of Michael Myers gains power from killing, which again, aside from that being my preferred explanation for why Michael Myers like is an immortal dude, aside from that, that's what Jamie Lee Curtis just fucking says.
Yeah.
At the end of Halloween Kills, he does all of his killing, and then he kills Laurie's daughter.
Yeah.
He's fine, right? In this movie, when we first are introduced to Michael Myers, which is a pretty decent way through the movie, which, you know, I'm sure that's why a lot of people complain about this movie, but that, whatever, neither here nor there. When we actually see Michael Myers in the sewers, he's like decrepit and dying.
Yes.
Which, like, I don't know. Maybe that's. I feel like this is giving them too much credit, and it's not what they were going for. But like, maybe you could rationalize it of, it's been like 4 years or however many long,
right?
Or however long
he's
it's
like kill starved.
Yeah, exactly. Which maybe that could be enough of an explanation. But like,
I don't know,
it doesn't make sense.
There's like that homeless dude living like outside the fucking sewer pipe.
If that is the explanation, what's stopping Michael Myers from killing?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It's not like this like homeless dude's outside there every time Michael Myers comes up, just like, oh, you go back now, and like Michael Myers is like, oh yeah, my bad, man.
And also, even if he can only come out on Halloween, he's had like 3 other Halloweens to go out for.
Yeah,
yeah. So no, stupid. And this is what really upsets me about this movie. So I like Michael Myers as the mortal dude. I can get with immortal Michael Myers if you do it right.
Right.
I feel like this movie wanted it both ways. In Halloween Kills, I said this in the last podcast too, I think they do a pretty good job of towing the line until the very end. Like, until that Michael Myers beatdown where he, like, turns the tide and starts killing people, and Laurie, like, explicitly is like, oh yeah, he gets stronger the more he kills. Before that moment, I think they are very particular to make it seem like Michael Myers could be just a mortal dude who, again, is like buffed to hell, but like is a mortal dude. And I think actually, even to take it a step further, before Laurie Strode is doing her like, oh, he's a force of evil who gets strength, I think her whole monologue is a response to the cop's monologue, who was like, you know, I think Michael Myers is a man inside. And maybe when we all thought that he was looking out that window at Haddonfield, he was looking back at his own reflection and wondering what he saw. And then she's like, oh, no, he's just a force of nature that wants to... So, like, I think that they very deliberately are towing the line up until that very moment of, like, yeah, maybe Michael Myers is misunderstood and is just, like, he needs help, you know, whatever the fuck you want to say. They do this thing where he could be conceivably a mortal person, and then they take a hard left and say, no, he's immortal. In this movie, they make him easily killed as a mortal man. I think what could have made this movie passable to me is, rather than having Michael Myers in the end of Halloween Kills do his whole invigorated by death thing, if, you know, maybe he's getting beat down, but he's able to do something, I don't know what, that he kills somebody and is able to get away, but he's like limping away and he is clearly like beaten and dying. And then, however, that movie ends. And then we come to this movie where we see Michael Myers in the sewer, where he's like clearly like more or less dying, where Corey comes across him. And then instead of Michael Myers bestowing Corey with evil powers, I think it would have been very interesting for Corey who is struggling with this whole, like, am I an evil person because of the things I've done? If perhaps Corey could find Michael Myers in the sewer, and rather than being like, hey, town, Michael Myers is in the sewer, let's go finish the job. If Corey perhaps, for whatever reason, decides, you know what, I'm going to, like, basically nurse Michael Myers back to health and, like, treat him like a human being. And then, you know, they do their best friend killing stuff, and Corey becomes more of an evil person hanging out with Michael Myers. And the movie plays out largely the same. We get to the end, and then Michael Myers dies in more or less the same way he does in this film, where, again, there are some things that would have killed a normal person, but he's killed more or less the way a normal person would be killed. That, like, would just make so much more sense to me. Like, I still think it would have been stupid and would not have been a satisfying conclusion, but I think what for me really makes this movie, like, kind of insulting. The end of Halloween Kills was like such a like ridiculous like show of like Michael Myers is immortal. He can do anything as long as he's killing people. And then just to backstep it. Like if they had just not done that, I think would be sitting here like, wow, these movies are dumb. But I would not be like so seething angry of like, why did they choose to do that? And I'm probably going to have to edit that to make that even remotely coherent. But I just don't understand. I can see both angles of, like, Michael Myers is a dude and can be killed through normal means. And I can also very much see, like, oh, Michael Myers is an entity who can be killed if you do certain things and make sure that he doesn't kill anybody for a week and then you murder him when he's weak.
Right.
I can see either of those things. But, like, I see them being very mutually exclusive. Like, you can't do both of those things. And that's what this trilogy tried to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's nothing short of just, like, negligence. It's story negligence for them to sit. Like, nobody in that fucking writer's room when they were like, all right, and then Laurie will slit his throat, but he's fine. He'll start to strangle her and rip his hand off of the knife. And then Allison will come back, like, judo break his arm. And then Laurie will take that time to slit his wrists, and that will do the job. Not a single writer in that room was like, fucking what? Not a single one of them was like, why in God's name would that do the job? How, after everything we've seen, after everything we've written for this man to survive, why in God's name is that going to do it?
Yeah, that's another thing. Mortal Michael Myers or immortal Michael Myers, you will hear no argument from me that putting in an industrial scrap grinding machine is going to kill him. That's fine. How the fuck is slitting his wrist and slitting his throat going to kill him? Like, seriously, why didn't, like you say, why didn't in that interaction somebody be like, why don't we just chop his head off or something?
Yeah, because, you know, it's still dumb and uninspired to, like, throw him in a trash compactor, but at least in a certain sense, if you're walking away from the theater, you're kind of like, all right, I guess they, like, theoretically burned him or, like, shot him, and all of that is pretty, like, keeps the body mostly intact, right?
Yeah.
Like, you take bullets, you get stabbed, you know, you get maybe caught on fire, but, like, they always walk away from the fire, so maybe you're able to walk out of the fire. Like, all that, fine. So, like, you know, when you throw him through a trash compactor and, like, cut him into 1,000 bits and then, like actually, like, watch those bits turn to ash and, like, scatter him across 5 oceans or whatever, maybe then it's like, okay, that does it. Like, fine. Yeah, it's cool. You guys, you know, that's one thing. If they actually, like, cared and were not negligent writers, they would have some kind of obligation to themselves as creators to say, okay, we've done a lot of legwork to make this man almost godlike in his trucking and surviving ability. Like, we have put him as a demigod of death. Like, that's what we've got. So if we're going to kill him, we need to make a suitably dramatic way to kill him that feels beyond a shadow of a doubt final and appropriate for killing a demigod. And, like, townspeople in a trash compactor is not an appropriate dramatic finale finale to a demigod's life. Let alone just slitting his wrists while he's tied down on a kitchen table. Like, pretending like maybe he's like wriggling around on the truck or whatever, and like people are taking turns like beating him with bats as they like go to the trash compactor or whatever. That's fine. But like, once they throw him in the trash compactor, that even still is a very dull comparative way to everything that this man has trucked and survived and done to be like, yeah, trash compactor. Turns out trash compactor was the answer there. We could have just trash compacted him.
It almost like feels like I feel like that this is kind of the sentiment that goes through the fandom of Halloween's mind right now. But like, I guess in a way, it almost feels like the writers were like, Michael Myers died of natural causes.
Yeah, right.
They might as well have just had like him die of cancer.
Yeah, fucking seriously. Yeah, right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
man. They should have just had him like keel over. Like mid almost stab of Laurie. And when the doctor's like running the autopsy, been like, yeah, stage 5 cancer. He had cancer this whole time. How crazy is that? It just finally got to him. Finally got him.
Oh,
no, that old dog. And,
God, I know it's going to be the opening clip of this episode.
But yeah, no, it's fucking ridiculous.
And then I totally agree with that.
Especially with all the work they did in the previous film.
Yeah.
It's not even like, oh, Halloween like Kills was something we were going with, but this one split off to a different thing. Like, no, it is the film before this film.
Yeah.
Like, canonically, too. Like, they're like, remember Halloween Kills? Yeah, that was like 3 years ago.
Yep. I really want to stress how much it pisses me off of, like, the inconsistency between the two movies. Like, slit his throat and slit his wrists, and he's dead. He should be dead for a minute, like in Halloween Kills, and then he starts thrashing about. And then they totally should have had, like, all the town, like, all right, everybody, get your turn.
Yeah, right.
We got to keep Michael Myers, like, dead until we get to the trash compactor.
Yes, exactly.
Like, just do that if you're going to have...
Or at least, like, shoot him in the fucking head or something.
Yeah.
Like, clear as day, bullet through the brain would have been... Again, kind of like trash compactor, like kind of like, all right, definitive. That's the most definitive way you've ever killed this man.
Yep.
So fine, whatever. It's like the people who wrote this movie didn't even like watch the last film. I don't know if it's the same writing crew that
I think
wrote.
it is, which is what's especially upsetting to me.
Is even
look that up
more
right now,
fucking
actually.
boggling. But assuming it's not, because if it was. What? Anyway, so assuming it's not, like, it's like they didn't even fucking bother to be like, what film are we following? Halloween Kills. Yeah, and we don't need to worry about that at all in terms of like what we're doing here today, right? And they're like, oh, no, it just directly follows that film and builds off of the plot of that one. But no, we don't need to watch it at all. We could just write our Halloween movie now. Yeah,
okay, so it has at least 2 of the 3 same writers and 2 more people.
As if there were a reason before. It's unacceptable. There's absolutely no reason, not even a plausible reason for them to have not have considered these things when they're writing the next film that they wrote.
I don't think that we've really talked much about the marketing for this film. The marketing for this film
But it is relevant.
is very much just like, hey, Laurie Strode's got business to finish with Michael Myers, which is just like so irrelevant to this movie. How fucking long is this movie? Like hour 40 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
What would you say? I feel like conservatively 25 minutes of screen time is to Laurie and Michael together. Conservatively.
Together,
I guess liberally is the
together. Yes, to the actual like story of them confronting each other and like having their final battle. Like 7?
And even still, it's like there's no importance of the 2 films that preceded this.
Nope. No.
Like you could have 100% seen Halloween 1978 and saw the last 7 minutes of this film and just assumed that was all you needed to know, because that's all you do need to know. Because nothing that happened in Halloween Kills, nothing that happened in the beginning of this movie, and it's been a very long time since I've seen Halloween 2018, but I'm going to assume nothing that happened there is even remotely relevant here.
7 minutes is Laurie and Michael Myers doing the whole cat and mouse thing and fighting each other at the end. The rest of it is the car procession and then talking to Cherry Blossom's cop. And so clearly it's dishonest marketing for the film to even remotely imply that like this story is in any way about Laurie Strode having her final confrontation with Michael Myers, because that's not what this film's about literally at all.
Yeah.
This film is about a relationship between Laurie Strode's granddaughter, who is tired of all the horror and trauma that is corroding this town and turning its people into the worst versions of themselves, and somebody who is
turning into the worst version of themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody who is on the other side of that and is taking the most maladaptive route and response into bitterness and rage that you can have from being treated or from being on the other end of those forces. That's the story. And then one of the characters, and then that guy dies, and then they're like, oh, right, yeah, what we marketed this movie to be. Let's have Laurie Strode and Michael Myers for literally no reason. Literally no reason whatsoever do their thing. Because there's not even a segment where, like, Laurie, like, plots in her home to, like, fight Michael Myers. Like, the whole suicide scene, one could, like, suggest or conceive is, like, Laurie, like, all right, Michael Myers is going to come to my house and I'm going to shoot him or whatever. But, like,
that's certainly the way the marketing made it seem.
But it seems like she knows it's Corey.
Yeah. See, I personally, like, I don't even hate that the movie isn't about Laurie and Michael Myers doing their thing.
I don't necessarily hate that either.
I hate that the marketing was all about that, though.
I hate that the marketing was all about that, and then if they were going to make the choice not to make the movie about that, don't shoehorn the 7-minute scene at the end where they're fighting each other and doing, like, this whole end fucking deal. Like, it would have been much more sensical for Michael Myers to just, like, basically it would have been much more sensical for Corey to be killed, Laurie and Allison to resolve their situation somehow, and then as like a final scene thing, just have Michael Myers like have a mysterious hand like pick up the mask from Corey's dead body as like a post-credits fucking shit or something. Like that would have made much more sense. But they made up their minds that this has to be the end of Michael Myers, and then made a movie completely unrelated to ending Michael Myers, and then we're like, fuck, right, we have to like kill Michael Myers. How much time do we have left to do that? 7 minutes. And that's what they did.
See, going back, I'm going to circle back to my point that I was making about, again, I liked the end of Halloween Kills for what it was, but as far as continuing a series, terrible move, shot themselves in the foot. And again, I'm going to go on a limb and say, if they had done things differently, I don't know how that pitch would go. We can, again, just for the sake of things, go with my other pitch of Michael Myers during the gang beatdown makes it away and is dying. I think, again, it would have been compelling enough for Corey to find a dying Michael Myers in the sewer, and Michael Myers just dies. He just dies from the injuries he sustained and has been fucking chilling in the... Or he doesn't... He could even just find Michael Myers dead already for who all the fuck cares. And then he becomes Michael Myers.
Yes, exactly.
Because
if they want a continuation out road, they can just have the legacy continue.
This fucking movie, Mike. I like that idea. I like the idea of Michael Myers being this contagious thing that brings out the worst in people.
Yeah.
But do that. Don't do that and then be like, oh yeah, but the contagious thing is dead now. And also it was really anticlimactic and didn't fucking matter. By the way, here's the 7 minutes we showed you in the fucking trailer.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Mike, this movie.
It's awful. Now look, the more I think about it, here's the restructuring that I think would make the most sense.
Let's hear it.
This movie should be the second movie. Halloween Ends, as it stands, should have been the second movie, and Halloween Kills should have been the finale of the trilogy. Mm-hmm. Now, we have at the end of the first Halloween, Michael Myers is like burned in the building, right? Mm-hmm. So what we have here is we have a restructuring of this story, right? Where Laurie could be writing her memoir, assuming Michael Myers is dead and gone. And then Allison and the legacy of Michael Myers is still pervading around the town, where townsfolk are getting paranoid. And then you could still have the child death thing with Corey. You could have the setup for Corey and Allison's story all the same. And Allison being upset with Laurie could make even more. Of course, you could kill off Allison's mother in the first film, right? Kill off,
Because her dad died in the first film.
Yeah, so kill off Judy Greer in the first film, right? And then have Allison be more sensibly upset with Laurie because we are still operating on the assumption that Michael Myers died in the fire. So Laurie is still harping on this Michael Myers thing, and Allison could be much more sensibly like, why do you keep going on about Michael Myers? He's dead. We killed him in the burning fire building.
Yeah, and it was the loss of my parents that helped us do it. Yeah.
Yeah, right, yes, exactly. And so, like, Laurie keeps harping on Michael Myers, and Allison just wants to put the whole Michael Myers business behind her because at this point in the film, it's still believed that he's dead, but people, after having been haunted by Michael Myers, some of them could still be on the fence, like, no, he's still out there. But, like, Allison and Laurie should know for good that he's dead. And so Allison could be even more upset with Laurie that it's like, this town's already, like, crazy with Michael Myers fear, and you're perpetuating this by hanging on this Michael Myers thing when we know that he's dead. So we could have the setup pretty much be the same, where Corey accidentally kills this child on a Halloween one night, and then the town is still affected by Michael Myers' legacy, even though Michael Myers, for all intents and purposes, is dead. And so Laurie and Allison are at odds in that way. Corey is still ridiculed in this way, and Michael Myers is disappeared and not present at the time.
Assumed dead.
So that could be the setup scenario leading from the first film, right? Now, we could have, like your idea, Corey find Michael Myers kind of decrepit and, like post-burn, like maybe like hiding in the sewer somewhere. Yeah. Same fucking type of deal. Just like burned, completely unhealthy, completely unable to, do anything. And so Corey finally finds him. Now, maybe Corey finds him and finds in Michael Myers and his kind of like decrepit body, maybe he's like tentative, maybe he's afraid of him at first, but realizing he has no ability to like move or do anything meaningful, is more or less willing to relate to him in the sense that it's like he's almost found like a lion with the thorn in his paw, and is kind of like, you know what, dude, like, you get me. Like, and like the legacy of Michael Myers as far as like what he did is still very fresh and not like post-Halloween kills, kind of like, because if this is the third movie and you find Michael Myers after Halloween Kills and you're like, this guy's just misunderstood. It's like, he killed like 50 people in the last
probably
fucking
your
film.
Neighbor.
Yeah, and like you can see the autopsy reports, man. Like, he did some fucked up shit to these people. Like, he put them on display. Like, it's a fucked up thing he did.
Oh, yeah.
So it's still fresh off the first film where like maybe he stabbed some people, maybe he did the murders, but like those are in a certain sense very much murders that a crazed psycho could do, and not so much like so far past the point of just that where it's like, no, there's clearly something like deeply wrong with this man, not just like a contortion of maladaptive behavior. And so he finds this guy, he's relating to him. Allison and Corey can be developing their relationship. Corey can be trying to fight this idea of, like this anger and kind of like ridicule thing. But in a certain sense, Allison, being unaware that Corey
is quite literally like taking care of the man who murdered her father or her parents. And
in a weird kind of ironic twist of Allison's anger towards Laurie for perpetuating this legacy of Michael Myers, can be venting her frustration towards the town and the people of the town and the way they treat Corey to Corey,
who is quite literally
more directly influencing somebody to perpetuate the cycle that Michael Myers creates, while she is frustrated towards Laurie for kind of abstractly influencing this. She could be venting her frustrations with the town to Corey in a way kind of polluting his predisposition to be a kind of like nervous, non-confrontational person. The more she vents and frustrates him about the town and the way people treat him, the more rageful he could get about it. And so in that weird kind of like poetic way, she could be yelling at Laurie for perpetuating Michael Myers' legacy, but her venting about it and kind of like
is doing just that
is more directly literally perpetuating the legacy because Corey has contact with Michael Myers. Now this is where Doug, the cop, and Allison's previous relationship with him could play a role, because he could get drunk or jealous of Corey, maybe follow him to the overpass one night, and instead of Corey like cat and mousing him, he could very much instigate and start like a beatdown of Corey and like be like, no, you're not gonna like talk to Allison anymore. Like you're like whatever it is. He's like, oh, you're a fucked up guy. Whatever this is this, and he could be the one that is 100% doing the aggression on Corey and beating him up almost to the point of death in the sewer. When Corey finally allows, with the help of Michael Myers, this kill to be done to Doug in an act of what is ultimately self-defense, but at this time has both been being perpetuated by Allison's kind of like personal rage against her grandmother in the town, and in this self-defensive act can get very kind of like drunk off the power and thrill
I could very imagine
somebody.
like it could start off like very much like in self-defense, like in tears, and then just like the longer the scene goes on, it becomes more uncomfortable, and he's like just really getting into it.
Yeah.
And just like making a mess of it all. And
Now here's the thing. Corey starts to basically turn to Michael Myers and view him as a mentor and a guide in a way. The angle I'm taking with it is that Michael Myers is just a malevolent, evil murder force. And so the only reason Michael Myers isn't immediately killing Corey is because he's not quite strong enough to do it yet.
Yeah.
And so Corey is misperceiving Michael Myers' inability to kill him on the spot.
very much like Nope, where what's his name?
Right, yes.
While Jupe is misperceiving
the aliens, like acceptance of the horses as like a taming and friendship with it. He's just like being fed by him and is totally fine until he runs out of horses or is more interested in eating Jupe. Right? Yes, exactly. Pretty much exactly like that. So Corey could be having that kind of angle go on while he gets more confident because of his killing, and Allison is in a certain sense encouraging that even more, because as he gets more confident and more aggressive,
she
doesn't perceive him as somebody who is murdering people and is happy to see him be more assertive and more aggressive, and so in that way can be encouraging and happy to see him be doing it. And I think it'd be a cool idea to just spitball in here. This is where it gets maybe a little bit messy, but like once him and Michael Myers, or like he brings enough people to Michael Myers, I think what he should do is he should think that Allison would be sympathetic to the whole thing. So as he gets enough like kill crazy, he's like, oh, I want to show you, like I want to show you somebody. And so he takes Allison to wherever he's been like, having Michael Myers. And so I think he is going to bring Allison in. Allison's going to sensibly be like, oh my God, Michael Myers is alive. You're insane for thinking Michael Myers is anything short of an absolutely insane person, a murderous force or what have you. Do you know what he's done to me? And I think, I forgot. Is it Corey could be trying to like build a defense for Michael Myers, and like, as soon as he like reaches the peak of that defense, Michael Myers just fucking kills him. Just like kills him right there.
Yeah, right in front of Allison.
Exactly. Just like completely brutalizes him. Like right at the peak of his like every point he could have to try to defend Michael Myers is a misunderstood kind of thing. Michael Myers just like in the most fucked up kill of the movie so far. Just absolutely brutalizes this guy. Allison has it all come crumbling down, realizes the only person that she can go to at this time to stop Michael Myers is Laurie, immediately escapes, tells Laurie, and now we can spend much more time on Laurie and Allison actually planning a final confrontation with Michael Myers, as Allison runs back and says, like, Michael Myers is still alive. He's coming for us. He's finally regained enough strength to like come back. We need to do something and come up with a plan to actually kill and stop Michael Myers. And then they can do whatever they're going to do for that whole thing and kill him however they want to kill him. And then the third movie would be kind of like the way in Halloween Kills, Michael Myers comes out of like the burning house or whatever. Whatever they think they do in this film to finally kill Michael Myers could be the thing that doesn't actually quite kill Michael Myers. We have Halloween Kills pretty much exactly as it stands, and then they could decide then, for Halloween Kills being the third movie, whether or not they actually want to kill Michael Myers there, or if they want to do like a continuing legacy type thing of Michael Myers, or if they want to just continue the whole project on for even more films or whatever. But that is a much more sensible narrative order. I completely
agree. No, that is
to
like
what could have happened.
Yeah, no, that it is such a shame that it did not play out just like that, because I think that would have just made so much more sense.
And they just did this. They did this fucking film. It's the third film with a completely unrelated story, marketed it as if it's the like final confrontation between Laurie and Michael Myers, like it's the end, dedicates 7 minutes and a lackluster finish to that, and then threw it out in theaters and Peacock. And so, it's like anybody who wants the best for this franchise or has enjoyed it should be nothing short of incensed with these fucking people for the mismanagement of this property.
And I think they are. That's a very interesting thing. I was telling you about this yesterday. It's like you and I saw this on opening night, and we saw this on opening night, and then we like started talking about it like the next day, and there weren't like a whole lot of reviews as far as like Google reviews and stuff, which is what we typically look at and all that. And I guess I'll have to take a look at it right now. But I remember when I saw it, it was pretty much on par with Halloween Kills as far as ratings go. Let me back that up real quick. Let's see. So Halloween Ends right now. Yeah, IMDb it's about a 5.1, which is actually I think exactly what Halloween Kills is on IMDb. No, okay, excuse me. Halloween Kills is a 5.5. Halloween Ends is a 5.1. And actually, if I'm reading this, it seems like Rotten Tomatoes is actually even higher for Halloween Ends than it was for Halloween Kills, which is very surprising. And, we have our feelings about this. I also had some strong feelings about Halloween Kills. So it's not surprising to me that it might be a divisive thing. But I saw that, and I assumed, you know what, again, we don't like this, but I guess there's a subset of people that were pretty into this. But I've stumbled onto Facebook into like a Michael Myers / Halloween franchise like fan page type thing. And like, of course, that's a very like particular subset of people, but everything that I see in regards to this movie from that group is so negative. Like I think at the very least, like people like you say who are fans of this character, legacy, and franchise are nothing short of upset.
Right? Yeah. I sometimes I see like critic responses and like ratings and stuff, and it seems like they're just like, all right, 5 out of 7 of the 5 out of 10 of these stars is just like, is it a competent film?
Yeah.
Like, is like sound handled okay? Is like the script not laughable at every sentence? Are the actors like not delivering everything in a monotone kind of humdrum type of thing? And to me, like that's a given. Like, I don't give points for being a competent film. Like, that is like either be a competent film or don't be a competent film. That is I don't consider that in a rating or in a consideration of how good a film is at all, because that's just like, that's the technical stuff, that's just like the bare minimum, like you've made a professional film thing. Like, it should be assumed if you're going to get theater time on a marketing circuit, like that you're a professionally done film. Like that no points for like lighting was atmospherically appropriate. It's like, okay, what the fuck? You're giving points for that? You're giving them like a star for that just because the lighting was? No, fuck that. Like, of course it is. It's a Hollywood film. It fucking better be. Like, that's the bare
very
minimum.
True. It's like, if you're a movie that made it to the theater, you have like a 4 rating on like IMDb.
Like that's like seeing a painting and being like, all right, so this painting gets a 5 out of 10 on account of there's a canvas and some shapes. It's like, okay, like, yeah, that's like the medium it's done through. That's not like what you judge the fucking like quality off of.
I saw this before we saw the movie, and I wanted to show it to you, but I forgot. You're familiar with Clickhole, right?
Yes.
This was a pretty funny Clickhole post that
Go
happened. Fan theories confirmed. Check out the leaked script for the final Halloween movie, in which Michael Myers drowns trying to bob for apples with his mask on. Spoiler alert, horror fans. If you've been enjoying David Gordon Green's Halloween reboot trilogy so far, you're going to absolutely love where he's ultimately planning on taking the beloved horror franchise. The leaked script for the final Halloween movie confirms that Michael Myers will drown trying to bob for apples with his mask on. Right. Amazing. What an incredibly satisfying conclusion to Michael Myers' reign of terror.
Exactly.
Which is funny because they might as well have.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
yeah.
According to the leaked script for Halloween Ends, the trilogy will conclude with Michael Myers dying in an apple-bobbing accident, ending his killing spree for good. The leaked screenplay details a suspenseful final showdown between Myers and Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, that serves as a chilling cautionary tale as to why you should always remove your mask before submerging your head in a tub of water and attempting to fish out apples with your teeth.
Right.
Check out the cinematic scenes in the next slide. Interior, Myers' house. Night. Laurie steps towards the abandoned house front door. She carefully navigates the dilapidated flooring, trying not to make a sound. The revolver rattles in her trembling hands. Michael appears in the doorway. Laurie gasps. She cocks the hammer. Laurie, what are you waiting for? Michael steps forward. Laurie fires a shot into Michael's chest. Then a second shot. A third shot grazes his head. Michael continues towards her, unperturbed. Laurie backs into the living room. Michael follows, blocking the only way out. He has her cornered. Her back against the wall, Laurie fires all the remaining rounds into Michael. They have no effect on him. Michael slowly steps through the beams of moonlight shining through the gaps in the boarded-up windows, and he raises his knife. Suddenly, Michael stops. He sniffs the air. Michael turns and spots a dozen fresh apples floating. Jesus. Okay. Michael stops and spots a dozen fresh apples floating in a small tub of water in the other empty room. Michael drops his butcher knife and he approaches the tub. He eagerly rubs his hands. God damn it.
Awesome.
Oh, God, this is so funny. He eagerly rubs his hands together, drops to his knees, and submerges his head in the water.
Right.
Apples bob up and down as Michael attempts to catch one in his teeth through his latex mask.
Right.
A minute goes by without Michael taking a break to breathe, even once. Michael's movements grow panicked. Water and apples thrash about, spilling onto the rotted floorboards. Michael grabs an apple from the tub. Without removing his face from the water, he half-assedly lobs the apple at Laurie from behind the back.
Right.
The apple misses Laurie by about 6 feet.
Yes.
Laurie screams for her life. With his head still submerged, Michael holds out a scarred hand to Laurie, a plea for help. Laurie's mind races. A trick? Or is a small part of him that is still human found a way to the surface? Laurie tears up, conflicted. She closes her eyes. Her pained expression morphs into a grimace. Laurie. Die, you fucking bastard!
Yeah, right.
Michael's hand weakly falls. He stops moving.
Yes.
The water in the tub settles. Michael appears dead.
Yep.
Laurie picks up the knife. She cautiously approaches Michael. She nudges him with her foot. His body limply falls to the floor.
Yeah.
Laurie raises a knife. As she plunges it down, Michael grabs her hand. He's alive!
Yeah.
Michael hurls Laurie into the wall, knocking the breath out of her. He turns back to the tub of apples. He turns back to the tub of apples and tilts his head. Michael methodically puts all the apples that spilled out of the tub back into the water.
Yeah, right.
Michael then rubs his hands again, he gets back on his knees, and submerges his head once more. He thrashes even more violently than before. Laurie screams and screams and screams. Seconds later, Michael's body falls limp again. His last breath sends bloody bubbles to the water's surface. Michael Myers is finally dead.
Yes, there you go.
Laurie stands over Michael's body. She drops the knife. Laurie. It's over. Burn in hell, Michael.
Yeah.
The end.
That's it. Dude, that would have been unironically way better.
And then, wow, this is the ending Halloween fans have always been hoping for. Though we have yet to see the full script, the incredible ending makes it pretty clear that this film will be a huge hit among fans of the franchise and will further cement Michael Myers' status as horror's greatest icon. Yeah. We can't wait to see the pulse-pounding, apple-bobbing action on screen.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie did so much harm to Michael Myers' legacy as a whole. Just because, the fact that, he really did, unironically do, a buddy cop Corey pet type thing.
He did.
Corey's my favorite murder pet. I'm not going to kill this guy. I like this guy. Until the end when, Corey steals his mask and, pushes him over and like instigates him to kill him, like angers him. But like before that, Michael Myers is totally like, yeah, buddy, let's go kill some people together.
Yeah, I mean, they really might as well have had like a montage of them like skipping around killing people.
Yeah.
But whatever. I have a couple reviews. Typically only read one, but I could not find many that were more than a few sentences, so I'm just going to read a few.
Yeah, I'll try to find some too.
This is a 5-star from Joanne Sabo. I've been a huge fan since 1978. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. Was this review helpful to you? And then we have a 1-star review from Cindy Mollahan. Absolutely horrible. And whoever thought Garth, Dana Carvey, would be the main actor, laughing, crying emoji. Seriously, though, I was so disappointed. At the end, Mike Myers should have been epic. I guess they're trying to say that, like, Corey's character was, like, more or less like Garth from Wayne's World. Have you seen that?
I guess.
Which, no, he wasn't. Like, what?
No.
Stupid.
No, that's a dumb one. Attempted sick burn. Awful.
I have one here from Bill Dance Jr. Jr. Another 1-star. I'd rather shit in my hand and clap than ever watch this again. My beloved Michael Myers.
I gotta sling that one around sometime.
I'm so sorry they did you like this. I think my last one that I have here is from Raymond Hernandez, and it's a 5-star. Amazing movie. Sad it's the last one, but everyone and they granny has to watch this one.
Yeah, all right. I got a couple here. I'm gonna read you a 5-star review that sounds like it has to be a bit.
Sure.
Because it's very serious, but there's no way somebody can actually hold this opinion. All right. Brett Litke says, 5 stars. 9 hours ago, by the way. 5 stars. Wow. What an incredible film. Suspense, drama, action, and most of all, fun. This is a classic Halloween movie, which means all the great characters that we've come to love are here. That includes Michael Myers, and in my opinion...
I was thinking, I was like, you have Michael Myers, you have Laurie, you have Lindsay. Yep. You know Tommy, he's dead.
Yep, yeah. And that includes Michael Myers, and in my opinion, Oscar is definitely calling this time around. The only criticism that I have is the movie is named Halloween Ends. This makes me sad, as I am not ready for this franchise to end. In fact, I think there could easily be another 4 to 5 movies here, if not more. I give this film 5 bags of popcorn and a VCR so that you can record this movie, hit the rewind button, and never have to let this one end. Yep. Alrighty. Now we move on to the 2-star review from Cambodian Breast Milk. Who I think probably has more of an opinion in line with my own, but I don't know. We'll point out what I agree and disagree with, because I haven't read this all the way through for. But here we go. Cambodian Breast Milk 2 days ago gives this 2 stars and says, pretentious nonsense. I don't understand why on earth they can't just make a simple Halloween movie that isn't some type of commentary on the effects of being a victim of Michael Myers in some way and how that changes Haddonfield. The stars of Halloween are Michael and Laurie, but they become sidelined for some reason, and the plot tends to spend more time concentrating on Mini Michael and Laurie's granddaughter love affair and how Mini Michael becomes a killer. Don't get me wrong, these aren't bad ideas, but their timing is all off. It would make much more sense if they explored this stuff at the start of the trilogy, and then it wouldn't feel so out of place in the final movie of the trilogy. Yep. Nothing really makes sense and doesn't really follow any of the logic created in this universe. Why is Michael so weak at times but so strong at others? Or why is Laurie so strong? Is Michael supernatural, and does he have powers? Also, the movie takes itself far too seriously. The narration by Laurie, which serves as a reference to the fact she's writing a novel, is just so corny and does not work. The movie is so full of itself and completely forgets what people watch Halloween movies for, and that is to see Michael kill and see how his and Laurie's arc finishes. And while we get that it's pretty much an afterthought, something the writers decided just to throw in at the end of the movie to validate them making this movie and keep fans happy, it was ineffective, as the movie was spent exploring a bunch of new stuff that fans aren't going to care about, as it's far too late in the trilogy for people to invest any of it. Seems like there's far too many writers with too many different ideas, and it just doesn't gel together. It almost feels like a movie that wasn't supposed to be a Halloween movie and was written to be something completely different. I'd honestly like to see somebody else take a crack at the franchise one last time, as I feel the fans deserve a much better end to this story.
Yeah, I think that more or less hits just about all my feelings about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, like that kind of consolidates pretty much everything we've said here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. It really is, because like I don't know, there are things about this movie that I think had so much potential if they had been done in like the right order and just like had the proper amount of build up to them, and if there was just some consistency in what they wanted to do with this. Like I really like that review you just read, like really drives it home for me. Like, come on, like, is he supernatural? Is he not? Like, what the fuck is the deal here? Like, can we just like spell it out?
And it is true. Like, they kind of take it for granted that like Laurie and Michael have some kind of like, like adversary energy going on. And so for that reason, killing Laurie for Michael is never quite so simple as it is for him to kill everybody else. Mm-hmm. But they have done nothing to like distinguish Laurie as some kind of special human being for Michael Myers, which is like, why does Michael Myers have like a unique relationship with Laurie Strode and finds himself unable to, with the ease and strength he kills literally every other person he comes into contact with? Like, why can he not do that with Laurie when there's no explanation for Laurie having like some remarkable secret spiritual strength about her? Like, she's not, they don't talk about this at all. They're just like, no, you get it, like Laurie and Michael though. So like Laurie has like Michael proof armor somehow, but like it just never gets explored why this might be the case.
Yep. Halloween 1, Halloween 2, and Halloween Kills were all really fun movies to watch and all really fun movies to talk about. Mm-hmm. Maybe Halloween, like, I had fun. I enjoyed talking about Halloween, but maybe Halloween wasn't as fun to talk about as the other two because it wasn't as, like, zany and out there.
Right.
But I still enjoyed
It's a lot more in the atmosphere than it is, like, the action itself.
And I all the same, I did really like talking about it, though.
Yeah.
This movie, though, it really is a disappointment on so many levels. Yeah. Like, if you listen to any of the other Halloween episodes that we've done so far, like you probably know that like I was a little apprehensive about Halloween Ends, like because of how Halloween Kills ended. Like I was like, I didn't have a lot of hope for it. But honestly, as time went on, as we saw more and more trailers, as the release date was approaching, I got really excited. I got really into it, and a big part of that was like, you know what? Even if this movie is like does stuff that I don't like as a Halloween fan, I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun to talk about. Because, I mean, Halloween 2 I don't think is a very good movie, but it's so fun. And I was hoping for at least that, and I don't feel confident that I got that.
Nah.
So with that, I'm just going to go right into my rating and say that this gets a...
Evil dies tonight!
Out of...
Evil dies tonight!
And... I am looking forward to next week, where our last Halloween episode of the year is, because I feel much more confident that that's going to be a more enjoyable watch.
I talk to people about this. I don't know what it is about my wiring, but like I'm pretty down on most things I see. Like, if we had to run the stats on, like, movies I've watched, TV shows I've watched, albums I've heard, and, like, just like media I've digested or whatever. The range I've experienced these things is either indifference or just lack of enjoyment. That's for most of the things I've interacted with, for whatever reason. It's the way I'm wired or whatever. So like at least 85% of the things I watch and go into with like a good faith, like I'd see if I'll enjoy this or connect with this, just doesn't happen. Or I just think like this is boring, or I just think this is bad. Halloween somehow there are a few times where I can enjoy a film because I stop watching it trying to figure out whether or not I can connect with and appreciate and respect the work, and because I can sideline that, I am freer to just enjoy it. Right? Mm-hmm. There are a few things that, for whatever reason, can activate that kind of relationship and way of relating to it from me. Fast and Furious is one of those things. I watched Fast 9 and I went, all right, this is a whole different fucking thing. Like, I'm totally fine, not at all, just being like, is this good, though? Like, do I think this is good? Do I respect this? Because completely irrelevant. I'm in on just experiencing whatever the fuck is going on there. And then I can talk about it from that kind of viewpoint. Halloween is another franchise that this has happened to me with. Like, I first watched Halloween 2 with you, and it was cool and it was zany, but I feel like if I were to watch it now, I'd almost enjoy it more watching it now because I'm more familiar and relate with, like, Michael Myers, like, as a franchise type thing differently now. Watching Halloween Kills was, like, again, I wasn't quite, like, into the franchise of Halloween as much as I was like, this is going to be a spectacle, so let's fucking get it, like, let's go. And it was, and I enjoyed the heck out of that. And then Halloween, like the original one, kind of finally gave me like the final inroad to be like, all right, like I don't really care if like I really like think like, oh, does this connect with me? Oh, do I like think that this is some kind of like good piece of work in like the fucking annals of history or whatever? Like, doesn't matter to me. Like, I just think this is a neat fucking thing we got going on here with this Michael Myers fella and the stuff. So I've officially reached that point. And so that's what I was happy to go into Halloween Ends with. Just like, all right, man, like I'm here, like I'm ready. Like, I'm totally down for just Michael Myers, like doing whatever Michael Myers shit on screen for like, 45 minutes, an hour and a half, doesn't matter. Like, I'm fine with all of that. The plot could just be, it didn't even have to have a plot. It could just be like a supercut of various Michael Myers, like walking through the town doing shit scenes. And I would have been like, hey man, that was a cool enough movie for me.
Yeah.
And they managed to take that low bar of like engagement and just ruin that. So I don't really know what to do about that. Like, this movie managed to take what was already a bar that I consider, by the grace of whatever power, already incredibly lowered for me to be able to enjoy the film, and just didn't even clear that. And so I got nothing. They could have done the most pandering, fan servicey like film of all time, and I would have been like, yeah, all right. Like, it wasn't great, but I'm in. I liked it. And they didn't do that, and instead they just completely dropped the ball and didn't even do anything like innovative or interesting with the ball they dropped. Like, I can't explain how they arrived at this film. I have no reason, there's no logic behind what, I can't conceive of how they arrived at this film. And so, with that, I'm going to go ahead and give my experience of this film a
Evil dies tonight.
out of
Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight.
because it just did that to me, you know?
Well, if you've listened this far, thank you. If you did enjoy Halloween Ends, I am genuinely curious your thoughts on it. So please feel free to leave a comment. Catch our episode next week. We're going to be doing Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2010 reboot. We're doing Halloween reboots this year.
Right.
And we should be joined by our friend Mike Lombardo, who, again, has put out a book recently, a collection of short stories, which I did a video on. You can check it out on YouTube. And also, he did a film that we covered for our Christmas episode last year. There's also an interview with him in that episode. So if you're at all interested in that, check out those. There will be links in, I guess, the description of this episode. And again, he'll be with us next week, hopefully. So tune in. After that, we're going to be back to our bi-weekly schedule. We're going to be cracking out Fast and Furious. we're gonna finish this series sooner or later.
We gotta.
And we're going to watch some more fun movies. So thank you for listening. Give us your movie recommendations. Follow our Patreon if you're so inclined, as well as our other social media. And have a very happy Halloween.
Doo-doo-doo.
What the hell was that?